NFL draft is about to get underway. We are good to have you on board this evening and glad you're with us all throughout the great state of Wisconsin and well beyond the borders. So thanks for joining us tonight. When you hear it, you know the pick is in, and we'll bring you pick-by-pick coverage leading all the way up and through the end of the round one, and then we'll speculate tomorrow as to what may happen. And also the Green Bay Packers picking at 25 and what happens in that particular sense as well. But good evening. We're going to have Mike Clemens with us live up in Green Bay. Grant Bill's producing in the studio. I'm Bill Michaels, and welcome in to our 2024 NFL draft coverage coming up momentarily. We are going to hear from the commissioner, who is going to officially announce that the Chicago Bears, not since I think it's 1947, that the Bears have been the first overall pick in the NFL draft. So good to have you. We are extremely excited. We'll see what we assume that it's going to be Caleb Williams going first to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but a lot of speculation. And Grant, I know you and I were texting a little bit. A lot of rumors floating around that maybe the Patriots are not going to give up that third overall pick in this year's draft, right?
That's what Pelissero, and it sounded like when Jayden Daniels spoke to the media earlier, he said, we're planning on getting a really good player at 3. So it's not official. It's not like they put out a statement, but it seems like they're going to go Drake Maye at 3, and then the draft, I guess, really starts at 4.
So, yeah, I mean, unless they get blown away by a deal, I would assume that that's the way it's going to be. And even at 4, depending on what happens, because I know that Marvin Harrison Jr. has been coveted a lot. I was listening to some of the talk today when I was out driving around after the program and listening to the NFL Network. And I was trying to flip around a little bit on my phone to listen to some of the apps. And it seems like they really want Marvin Harrison Jr. unless somebody blows them away, blows the Arizona Cardinals away by taking a pick. So you've got, to the way it shakes out, you got the Bears getting it at number 1, the Commanders at number 2, the Patriots number 3, Cardinals at number 4, the Chargers at number 5 with their new head coach Jim Harbaugh, who is all positive when it comes to JJ McCarthy, but whether or not they actually make a move for a quarterback is doubtful. You got the Giants coming in at number 6, the Titans number 7, the Atlanta Falcons at number 8, the Bears again in the top 10, sitting at number 9, then the Jets at number 10, followed by the Vikings, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Saints, the Colts, the Seahawks at number 16, then the Jaguars, Cincinnati, then at 19, the Rams, 20 becomes the Pittsburgh Steelers, 21 is the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Cowboys at 25, we know is the Green Bay Packers. You got the Buccaneers, the Cardinals again at number 27. Then you got the Bills, the Lions, the Baltimore Ravens, the 49ers, and then the reigning champions, again, drafting at the bottom of the board. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's the way it's going to shake out this evening. Like I said, welcome in, and our draft coverage for many. We are going to have an opportunity to talk to Mike a little bit later on tonight, and we will obviously be chatting with him as he is up in the bowels of Lambeau Field, taking all the information in again this year. And as soon as the commissioner comes to the podium, we will have that for you, and we will have the official announcement that this year's draft is going to take place and get underway as he kind of opens things up. We're about a minute away from that, so stay tuned as we're excited. So a lot of speculation. All of the mock drafts, who's good, who isn't, what does, say, the general managers think, what should they think, who do we want, who do we covet? It all comes to work tonight. And this is where all the work of every individual draft room begins to pay off. Gutekunst and his staff, all the college scouts, the pro scouting department, the personnel department, Jeff Hafley, the new defensive coordinator. What does he want? What does Matt LaFleur covet? You know, Rich Bisaccia at special teams. All of that comes into play tonight. And then we're going to see actually how it falls. So I'm excited. I know we've been looking forward to this. As a matter of fact, I went out and ran around and did a few meetings today, and just could not wait to get back to bring you the NFL draft. As we are here, we're excited, and we're getting ready. And then once this starts, it really is a night that begins to fly by. So we'll give you all the breakdowns of each individual player best we can, give you the information on that particular player best we can, and then again, we'll bring you the pick by pick coverage and the trades that are expected to go down as well. So we're going to take that also. So all of that is going to culminate, and in just a moment, we will be going live to the stage in Detroit, where we are going to have the announcement by the commissioner, Roger Goodell, who is now walking to the podium, and we will be hearing from him in just a second here. So I want to get here he is, Eminem now coming to the stage. Fans going crazy. Detroit. Not bad weather tonight either in Detroit. Here we go.
We waited 6 years to say this. Welcome to the NFL draft in Detroit. Let's go, Big D.
Big D.
Like I was just kidding about the rap battle. We're going to save that for another day. But the pride of Detroit has got a little some surprise for you, and bringing out a few other surprises for you. So, Em, here you go. Detroit!
Eminem.
What up? It's here. Make some noise for the Detroit Lions. Let's go!
And out comes the Detroit Lions. Many of the members of the Lions have brought a lot of joy, finally, to that city, getting back to the postseason, getting to an NFC championship game before ultimately being knocked off by the San Francisco 49ers, who went on to obviously take it on the chin in the Super Bowl in Vegas and lose then to the Kansas City Chiefs. But boy, that town is electric, and they're being led now as Barry Sanders is being introduced to the crowd, a rabid Detroit Lions fan crowd. Legend taking the stage. And in just a moment, we'll get past the fun and frivolity that is, and
Hey, this is crazy. I can't believe it. But before we get off the stage, I need to hear one thing. Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
There you go.
Jared Goff.
Some of the Lions players
Baby.
pumping up the crowd. Jared Goff now addressing the crowd. So one by one, they're doing it, and then we'll get the official announcement from the commissioner coming up here momentarily. But man, what a good day! What an exciting time! And you can't help but being a Packers fan. Here comes Barry Sanders. We got to get that.
What's up, Detroit? What's up, football fans? Thank you for showing the world how we do it here in Detroit. Great job, guys.
There you go. So that's Barry Sanders, just like he played. A man of very few words, very classy, and he then walks away. And we should hear coming up here momentarily the official announcement as the commissioner then takes going. But here he is, back to the podium.
Detroit. Come on. Okay. Detroit. We got fans from 32 teams right down here, and of course, all the Detroit faithful in the back. Welcome to all of you, and most importantly, thank you to Detroit. You guys have been awesome. All right, you ready to get the show on the road? Okay, the 2024 NFL Draft is now underway. The Chicago Bears are now on the clock.
There you go. And the announcement takes place. The Bears are on the clock. And now we wait for the Bears' first pick, and Caleb Williams most likely to be taken with the first overall pick. John says they booed Barry Sanders. No, they didn't. I think they were like cheering Barry. They were going, Barry, Barry. I didn't catch the boos. You don't boo Barry Sanders. Not in Detroit, you don't. Not in Detroit, you don't. So we have got officially the Chicago Bears on the clock. Let's do this. because we'll take our first break. We'll come back, and by then we would assume the Bears will definitely have chosen and be coming to the podium to make the announcement that the Bears are going to be taking Caleb Williams with the first overall pick in this year's draft. They do boo the commissioner quite heavily, by the way. I did want to make a note of that. They do boo the commissioners. So, because he was coming up after Barry Sanders. All right. It's the 2024 NFL Draft. It is officially underway. I'm Bill Michaels. Grant Bill's in the studio. Mike Clemens up in Green Bay. We'll bring all the pick-by-pick coverage coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Our 2024 NFL Draft coverage brought to you by our friends at Cousin Subs, where they believe in better. Don't forget the pull tab games are going on right now, and they've got a great deal for some Summerfest tickets. Check it out. CousinSubs.com for all the details. Welcome back. Waiting for the Chicago Bears, who are officially on the clock. 4 minutes, 48 seconds and counting to go before they make their first choice. Caleb, it's interesting because for all the pundits as of late that have been saying, wait a minute, Caleb Williams, he may not be the best quarterback in the draft. It could be Jayden Daniels. the quarterback out of LSU. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier, that you look at a guide like our lads draft guide, they have Jayden Daniels ranked higher than they do Caleb Williams. And they were talking about Jayden Daniels can forecast and anticipate a defense, much more cerebral, going to play games with his eyes, that's going to be able to hold safeties to their spots, shows a compact, quick release, on and on and on. Also very adept at throwing the receivers open and throwing them open in tight man coverage. Got the body type to be able to do it. Caleb Williams, why does he make it look, good from, kind of taking away some of the things that he did at USC, even though the team around him wasn't nearly as significant? Well, that does make it look good on the highlight reel, and it did provide clarity on what he is uniquely capable of. It says Williams not always going to get away with most of those circus act throws that he had in college. It's not going to happen in the next level. NFL defenses are far too fast and complex. He's going to need to be more cerebral, show that he can get back to the basics, fundamentally sound football that kind of centers around him, and then executing plays quickly and not trying to improvise too much. And if he applies himself properly to the system around him and he has a strong support group, then he should be the guy. But the pick is in. The Chicago Bears, I don't know what it took them so long to do, unless they just have to do kind of a made-for-TV event. But the pick is in, and we indeed are going to hear from the commissioner coming up here momentarily as soon as he makes his way to the stage. I will say, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier in the open of the show, as you look at the setting that they have built in Detroit, you can only imagine what that's going to look like built probably in the parking lot at Lambeau Field. Here's the commissioner.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, Southern California.
There you go. He comes off the board, the quarterback over there out of Southern Cal. He's the guy everybody expected him to be. He was the only quarterback that the Bears actually interviewed and brought in. So you assumed that was going to be the first overall pick. I don't think there was a lot of suspense behind all of that, but Caleb Williams has now gone first to the Chicago Bears. So we expected it. I guess as a Packers fan now, you kind of hope that maybe it doesn't happen that way, right? Maybe that he is not the guy, and the Bears go through another 3 to 4 to 5 years of suffering, whether they have a new stadium or not, But nevertheless, Caleb Williams, he comes off the board. Elite improvisational talent, an arm, strength, stability. He's got a lot of the different qualities you look for in a quarterback. He's got the ability to extend plays. He presses a little bit, tries to make too much happen, which is what our lads was alluding to. That, yeah, he at times tries to do a little bit too much and be a little too fancy, and that can ultimately cost you in the NFL. But nevertheless, the Chicago Bears make the pick, and they take Caleb Williams. And that means the Washington Commanders are now on the clock. So the Washington Commanders are now, who do the Commanders take? Do they take Jayden Williams or Jayden Daniels? Jayden Daniels. Do they go in that direction? Is that going to be the guy? Most likely it is. They need quarterback. They need edge rusher. They need some guys up front in the trenches. They don't really need a wide receiver, because technically Marvin Harrison, for all intents and purposes, whether he was the first or the second best overall rated player on most boards, but Marvin Harrison Jr., he is the guy. So the best available on the board right now is Marvin Harrison Jr. However, they also say it would not surprise them, but Washington needs a quarterback. But it would not surprise anybody if Joe Alt, the big offensive lineman, the tackle, 6'9", 321 pounds, out of Notre Dame, one of the highest grades in this year's draft as well. It would not surprise anybody if they went in that direction instead, and really kind of upset the apple cart as far as those who are about to make trades. But we know what what the Washington Commanders need, and that is they need a quarterback. So we'll see what actually happens. But the Washington Commanders squarely on the clock with just over 5 minutes remaining in this one, and Caleb Williams is the guy in Chicago. So Packers fans, get a good look, because he is now, for the next at least 3 to 4 years, he is now the nemesis, and he's the guy that Jordan Love has to outplay. He's the guy that is not allowed to take away any ownership of the Green Bay Packers. And he is the guy that's going to try, because remember, they took Mitch Trubisky 2nd overall. Then they went with Justin Fields, and they tried to make him the guy. Now it's Caleb Williams. And don't forget, go back 7 years ago was the Mitch Trubisky fiasco. 7 years ago, the Bears traded up to get, and you forget that he was the 2nd overall pick when others were far better on the board. Just look at Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was on the board. So the Bears, most Bears fans are hoping that they didn't screw this up, and the Packers fans are saying, who knows? Maybe you did. So anything you want to add here, Grant, before I continue on as we get ready for the Washington Commanders to make their pick?
Do you think in Caleb Williams' opening press conference, he'll mention the Packers and beating the Packers and we got to beat the Packers? Because I feel like that's a kiss of death. Like if he comes in and they're obsessed with the Packers again, that's what they always do. And then they step on it.
I can only hope. I can only hope that he just has missteps after missteps after missteps. He's a very confident guy. I did hear, I'll say this, for all that's been said about him, that he's got, obviously the painting of the fingernails and crying into his mom's arms and, all that kind of stuff. There was an interesting story that Dan Orlovsky told today, that Dan Orlovsky was at a pizza parlor. I don't know where he was. He was out with his family, and a big guy comes over to the table and walks up to him and introduces himself. He says, "Hey, I'm one of the offensive linemen for USC for Caleb Williams. I want to tell you something." And Dan's ears perk up, and he says, "Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what you want to say." And he said, when Caleb Williams was told to come to New York, and that most likely he was going to be the guy that gets the Heisman Trophy, Caleb Williams would not go. He told the Downtown Athletic Club, I am not coming unless you bring all my offensive linemen." And there was pushback from the Downtown Athletic Club. They don't usually bring all these players. And he said, "I'm going to make it clear. I'm not coming. I will not be there unless you bring all my offensive linemen. I can't get there without them." And so finally, the Downtown Athletic Club acquiesced, and Caleb Williams indeed ended up bringing all of his offensive line with him, by the way. The Washington Commanders pick is now in, and we're waiting to see who they take, as we're waiting for the commissioner to come to the podium and make that announcement. The Bears, as we said, take Caleb Williams. We're waiting to find out who it's going to be. Is it going to be Jayden Daniels, the next quarterback off the board? Is it going to be some other pick that may surprise us, say Marvin Harrison Jr. or the offensive tackle Joe Alt? Would not be a knockdown surprise, because they do desperately need offensive line help. But you would assume that Jayden Daniels is the guy that is going to be coming off the board when the commissioner makes his way to the podium. So that's what we're waiting to find out. So any other news? You're going to be kind of the go-to guy with news tonight. Anything coming off of Twitter, anything anybody's hearing, anything rumor or innuendo-wise, you're going to be that guy tonight, Grant. So if you got anything, chime in.
I have seen nothing other than people have dug up an old tweet from Caleb Williams saying that he's a Packer fan. In March 8th, 2022, he tweeted, "Okay, I guess I'm still a Packer fan." So people are tweeting that. But other than that, nope, nothing. And it looks like the draft for the next couple picks, I would think 2 and 3 will be pretty predictable. Basically.
Yeah, well, you would have kind of assumed that that's the way it's going to be. And I would completely agree with you. Here comes the commissioner to the podium. We're going to have the commissioner's take as he announces the second overall pick. Here we go.
With the second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Jayden Daniels.
There you go.
Quarterback, LSU.
Quarterback out of LSU, Jayden Daniels, the second overall pick in this year's NFL Draft. It's not Marvin Harrison. It's not Joe Alt. It's exactly who we thought it would be. Jayden Daniels, who, for many accounts, is more ready and more upside, more higher glass ceiling than even Caleb Williams, and steadily improved over the past 4 seasons. He is accurate. He also extends plays. He's one of the most dangerous runners in his class, regardless of really position. He's quick, good contact, good balance, good breakaway speed. He's got it all. The one knock on him is at times he will put himself into a position where he takes some big hits. He's not as thick of a quarterback as, say, a Caleb Williams or a JJ McCarthy in some other realm, but they feel that he's the guy. Jayden Daniels, by all intents and purposes, passed. By the way, the only player in FBS history to pass for more than 12,000 yards and rush for more than 3,000 yards. So you talk about an athlete himself, Jayden Daniels, the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft. Now the intrigue begins. Because there was a lot of talk about if somebody wanted to jump up and really knock the socks off of the New England Patriots, they could do it. And now you're hearing, Grant, right, that they are not going to be trading out of that 3rd overall pick position, correct?
Yeah, we got some tweets from insiders, and then Drake Maye basically said earlier today, we're excited to get a great player at 3. So it seems that Maye's going to be their guy. Drake
Maye is the guy that they feel is going to go 3rd overall. Now, when you talk about the best available on the board, still the best available on the board, Marvin Harrison Jr. He's the guy. Drake Maye, not until you get to about 11 or 12 is where the value is. But again, we go back by the desperation of need for quarterback at that position for some of these teams who have to get a guy that can toss the ball around. And the Patriots, the Mac Jones experiment did not pan out under Bill Belichick. And really, I don't think Bill Belichick did him much of a service at all, to be perfectly honest with you, because the first year he had a really good coordinator, Josh McDaniels. Mac Jones looked like he was going to be something. They ended up coming a game short of the playoffs. I mean, it was that impressive. And then after that, Josh McDaniels gets hired by the Raiders. He leaves for Las Vegas. They bring in, first it was Matt Patricia, who was just a travesty. And then from there, after that, you had Bill O'Brien this year. And Bill O'Brien was basically ran out of Houston. They didn't want any part of him. And he goes there as one of Bill Belichick's buddies. And that was a complete train wreck. Now you got a new head coach in Jerod Mayo. Alex Van Pelt is the offensive coordinator. DeMarcus Covington, the defensive coordinator. Jeremy Springer is now the special teams coordinator there. So they got a whole new coaching staff, new guys, new faces, breath of fresh air. Elliott Wolf is the de facto general manager right now, getting ready to make that pick. We all know Elliott from his days under Ron here in the Green Bay Packers organization under Ron Wolf, his dad. So he is going to be right now, as they call it, and it's listed as that. I don't know if you saw that, but if you go to the listing of the positions in the New England Patriots organization, Elliott Wolf is listed as de facto general manager. So anyway, we'll wait and see. So let's do this. You've got right now. Oh, wait a minute. That quick. The pick is in. The Patriots making the choice. They haven't even finished the interviews on the stage with Jayden Daniels yet, and we're already getting the pick in for the New England Patriots. So we're going to keep it here, and the minute we hear the commissioner announce the pick for the New England Patriots, and by the way, no trade, so no trade has been made, so they stood steadfast. You would assume it's going to be Drake Maye out of North Carolina, the quarterback, that he's going to be the guy, but they're just wrapping up on stage the interviews with Jayden Daniels. They're trying to kind of, hey, guys, we got to move. Let's go. I know this is made for TV, and ESPN's covering, and the NFL Network's covering, and everybody's got it. But they're kind of going, okay, let's move. We got to get on with the next pick. And when you start to look at who they've chosen over the years, the Washington Commanders, they've had quite a few. They had Heath Schuler, Patrick Ramsey, Jason Campbell, Robert Griffin III, Dwayne Haskins, and now Jayden Daniels. So they're trying to bolster their franchise. And in the meantime, the Patriots are trying to find the next Tom Brady. Not that you're going to find that, but trying to find the next Tom Brady. I will say this, for what Detroit is doing and just watching Detroit and the fans there at the draft, a lot of blue. A lot of Detroit Lions blue in the crowd. There are other jerseys, don't get me wrong, and there's some other there's some other, fan bases represented. And I've seen some Packers jerseys floating around over there. It's good to see some Jordan Love jerseys in the crowd. I saw a Clay Matthews jersey in the crowd earlier tonight. But it's good to see that Detroit, who has been toiling away in anonymity for all these years, suddenly has the ability to kind of come out of the shadows, and maybe they're going to have some kind of sustainability for a while to come and be a really good battle for the Packers in the NFC North. But the Bears are trying to make that run as well, don't forget, with Caleb Williams. So we've got the commissioner making his way back to the podium. We're going to hear from him as the New England Patriots now make their pick. Here it is.
With the third pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Drake Maye.
There you go.
Quarterback, North Carolina.
And they are excited. Patriots fans are now cheering, and they believe that they have got the next guy. There you go. The Patriots have made their choice. 3 straight quarterbacks come off the board. Caleb Williams goes to Chicago. Jayden Daniels out of LSU goes to the Washington Commanders. And now Drake Maye goes to the New England Patriots. We are going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We have got a lot more to go, a lot more coverage. First round of the NFL Draft. More to come right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love, quarterback, Utah State.
Jordan Love, quarterback, Utah State. Bro, I mean, what's the best case scenario for this guy? When does he play? Good. Damn it!
That is, if I'm not mistaken, the tones of one Pat McAfee laughing at the pick of the Green Bay Packers. So there you go. And then Jordan Love gets a start a few years later, and now comes to the Green Bay Packers with a lot of hope, a lot of optimism, and he's created one hell of an adrenaline-filled excitement around the Lambeau Field. By the way, while we were away, the Arizona Cardinals, boy, they didn't take much time. They made their choice. Marvin Harrison Jr., he now goes to the Arizona Cardinals, and they needed some help big time. When you talk about the Cardinals and the problems that they have had, and they have lost receivers. They've tried to piecemeal some players together. It just has not worked out for them. Kyler Murray, obviously, last year went down with an injury again. They paid him all that money. He was crying about, his first couple of seasons being so good, and he really hadn't won anything. And then they paid him a boatload of money, and they didn't really have much. They got Chris Moore, the unrestricted free agent out of Tennessee. They had Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, Zach Pascal. Stop me if you're talking about anybody you want to go to an autograph signing with. Jeff Smith, Daniel Arias, Caden Davis, Andre Baselia. Yeah, I didn't think so. So now you've got Marvin Harrison Jr. In the fold. They have Trey McBride, not a bad tight end, who they picked up 2 years ago in the draft, and he's decent. They have the Desmond Ridder, the kid from Atlanta, the backup quarterback there, and maybe Kyler Murray goes down, he's going to have maybe a quarterback, or a wide receiver or two to throw to. But to the Arizona Cardinals, they make the 4th overall pick, and they take Marvin Harrison Jr., the big 6'3", 209-pound wide receiver out of Ohio State. And he was labeled basically, if not the top guy, the second or third guy most talented in this year's draft. That puts the LA Chargers on the clock. And the Chargers, well, when you look at the Chargers and you kind of think of what they've got going on, first of all, they've got the big wide receiver Malik Nabers, because don't forget they did lose some wide receivers in the offseason so far, so they've got a big need there. I would assume that's the direction they're going to go, and that's taking Malik Nabers, and they'll grab him. He is just rated a tick below Marvin Harrison Jr. Still another guy that they could use. The offensive line, which is their second need, would be Joe Alt, the big kid out of Notre Dame, and to anchor that left tackle position. But you got to assume that it's going to be Malik Nabers who is probably going to be the next up. I mean, the first 4, 5, guys in this draft, kind of, when it comes to the mock drafts, kind of easy to follow so far, to be perfectly honest with you. There's no surprises here. So you kind of get it. After that, though, it starts to get a little more interesting as to who, where, and why trades may be made and guys are still on the board. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen after, because we all believe that Malik is going to come off the board, the wide receiver, and going to end up going and helping out Justin Herbert out there in I want to say San Diego, in L.A. for the Chargers. So we'll see. We'll see who they end up choosing. But still, when you look at this draft and you look at some of the better players that are still available and some of the pros and cons to this, some of the best available guys that are right there right now, and you look at the rankings of this draft class, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jayden Daniels, depending on who you're looking at, 1, 2, 3. Malik Nabers, basically number 4. The wide receiver, Odunze, out of Washington. He's rated highly too. Drake Maye's already been taken. He was basically listed between 6 and 10, depending on who you were looking at. Joe Alt as well. Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, is another one. If you're looking for a tight end, tight ends don't usually, unless they just got some incredibly special talent, don't usually go that high. But Brock Bowers looks like he's going to be somebody's choice, probably in the top 10 here. There's Dallas Turner, the edge rusher coming out of Alabama. Fashanu, the big offensive tackle out of Penn State. When you look at that direction, now the guys that are left on the board, you still got JJ McCarthy out of Michigan, and who may jump up and get him? Michael Penix Jr., then Bo Nix are the other quarterbacks, 6 of them that could possibly go here in this first round still this season. And now you got to wait and see. Do the Giants stand pat at 6? Do they take a quarterback? Do they go with McCarthy? Does somebody jump up? Could there possibly, with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go for the Chargers, could there possibly be a trade? As we've heard a lot of discussion, you got to figure at some point Minnesota is going to start to get involved. Now, to jump from 11 to 4 or 5, I should say, that might be a big task. To go up a couple of spaces, that's one thing, but to jump 6 spaces and jump from outside to inside the top 10, that might cost them more than they're willing to pony up. But could it be JJ McCarthy that goes to because you want to get ahead of the Giants. You assume the Giants are going to take a quarterback. And if they don't, then that changes things dramatically. Because does, say, Tennessee want to go in that direction? Do they want to start looking for the future? Because they're in somewhat a full-blown rebuild right now. Could Tennessee then be in the market for a quarterback? You still have, by the way, Will Levis, who they really liked. They picked up last year in the draft. But you got Mason Rudolph as a backup. Remember, he had a pretty successful stint for a short period of time with Pittsburgh this past year before he went out as an unrestricted free agent and signed with Tennessee. So does Will Levis get the automatic nod that he's the guy, he's the starter, or do they hedge their bets and go in a different direction? So we'll see what happens there as well. So the pick is in, by the way, for the Chargers. And I would assume as all the networks come back from commercial, we're going to be seeing the commissioner making his way to the podium. So, by the way, it's our coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft, brought to you by our good friends at Quick Trip. They are fantastic. We love our friends at Quick Trip. As a matter of fact, Grant's grubbing down on Quick Trip tonight. When you got a night like tonight and you got to get something on the fly, whether it's the chicken, the sandwiches, the burgers, whatever it happens to be, something out of the cold side. They've got tremendous Alaskan crab. You can do the crab salad. That's good too. A lot of good stuff from our friends over there at Quick Trip. So shaking it all out. Thanks to Quick Trip for being a part of the program. Anything moving or shaking right now on rumors and innuendos, Grant?
I'm glad that you asked, because I pulled up the Pat McAfee stream because Belichick's on with him. And I wanted to hear what Belichick said about May. And maybe I'll try to get this audio for tomorrow's show, because I don't really want to pull audio live, because you just never know when a swear word's going to come flying in. There's like 6 guys at the desk. But Belichick's he's kind of picking them apart. Drake Maye, which is really funny that the Patriots take a guy, now Belichick is on television. Like, yeah, he doesn't read. He's quick to bail out of the pocket. He's going to need a lot of work. That's just really funny to me.
It sounds like a little bit of sour grapes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He might not be wrong if this is his evaluation. It's even if he's being 100% truthful and there's no spite to New England, it's still funny. It's still really funny to me.
Right. No doubt. So in a moment, there was no trade. The Chargers kept their pick. We should be getting the Chargers, as the commissioner should be coming to the podium any second now and kind of make it official as to who we think that here he comes. We think the Chargers are going to take, but we'll wait and see. So let's wait for the official word from the commissioner.
With the fifth pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Joe Alt, tackle, Notre Dame.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Joe Alt. Now, they you know what? The first somewhat surprise, they did need an offensive tackle. It is one of their areas of need, without a doubt. But what they did was, if you look at most boards, he was the best available. And instead of going in a different direction, trying to get a wide receiver for Justin Herbert, they kind of said, you know what? Let's not get him beat up. Let's start to anchor the trenches. You got to remember, Harbaugh is a big guy when it comes to the trenches and building his way out. He obviously has a quarterback. Now the argument is protect the quarterback. 6'9", Joe Alt is 321 pounds. Dude is big dude. And they're going to put even more weight on him when he gets into the league. Long reach on this cat. And he's strong selection. But the Chargers give us a little bit of a surprise and take the big tackle out of Notre Dame, Joe Alt. And by the way, excellent fit for zone-heavy schemes. And he can adjust to moving targets in space, and he's got a lot of positivity to him. But that is all the stuff that Jim Harbaugh likes to run. So now they've got their big left tackle, and we'll see if they end up picking a wide receiver up a little bit later on in the draft. Now what do you do? Because Daniel Jones is the quarterback in New York, coming off of a season again in which he was banged up. There's talk about, well, maybe they'll move him. Remember, they lost Saquon Barkley in the offseason. So do you go Malik Nabers at wide receiver? Because unless you go with the quarterback, which is still possible, you could obviously add what many consider to be the second best wide receiver in this draft and actually pick up a weapon for the New York Giants. Or do you go in a different direction and go with a quarterback or even something different beyond that? Let's do this. We're going to step out. Got a little bit of intrigue going on right now. The Giants are on the clock. More of our coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft continues right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It is our coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft. We are glad to bring it to you. The Bill Michaels Show, a special edition on this Thursday evening. Pick-by-pick coverage all the way through the first round. And while we were gone, the Giants, they made their choice. They went with Malik Nabers, the wide receiver out of LSU. And now on the clock, you've got the Tennessee Titans. And Tennessee's in a little bit of flux. They need some offensive linemen, defensive linemen. They need a wide receiver, a linebacker. Second-year general manager, Rand Carthen. He kind of addressed the team's need a cornerback. He signed the free agent, Chidobe Awuzie, and picked him up and traded for L'Jarius Sneed. He could land a starting tackle here if things work out, if he wanted to go in that direction. Also get a receiver to back up the 2025 free agent signing of DeAndre Hopkins. Remember, they picked him up with his lone day 2 pick. A second rounder is the Titans' third rounder was a part of that trade. So now we wait and see, and the Titans are on the clock. We wait and see what actually it is they do. Just to kind of recap where we're at before we get to the top of the hour, the Chicago Bears, with the first overall pick in the draft, they went with Caleb Williams, the quarterback out of USC. And they got, remember, that pick was not their own. They picked that up in the trade with Carolina. So they got that from Carolina. Then Washington, the Commanders, they get Jayden Daniels, the quarterback out of LSU. New England didn't waste much time. They picked their quarterback, Drake Maye, the quarterback out of North Carolina. Then the Cardinals, they stuck with their board. They went with Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Chargers and Harbaugh, they stuck to their principles. They picked the best available, and they also went with the trenches. They picked the big Joe Alt, 6'9", 320 plus, coming out of Notre Dame, the big left tackle. And then the New York Giants take Malik Nabers, the wide receiver out of LSU, and that puts the Tennessee Titans squarely on the clock. We have motored. We got 7 picks in already. We have motored through this thing relatively quick.
Are you surprised JJ McCarthy hasn't come off the board? I figured he would be somewhere through 4, 5, 6. We're already at pick 7. He's still there. I'm a little surprised.
Then again, you've got some teams that are actually sticking to their boards, and we haven't seen the trade up yet. You know what I mean?
I kind of like that the last few teams just said, no, we're just going to take the guy we want.
Right.
We're not going to try to maneuver. And no, we know who we want. We're just going to take him. I kind of like that.
Now, with Tennessee, think about it this way. If you think Will Levis is the guy, okay, and Cousins was just signed by Atlanta, so they're not taking a quarterback. The Bears just took a quarterback. The Jets, maybe they take a backup quarterback. I doubt it. I think they're going to get more help for Aaron Rodgers on the inside. That means the Minnesota Vikings are going to stand pat, not give up anything, and probably get JJ McCarthy. If that's the way the board shakes out. Unless somebody behind him, say Denver, would want him, depending on how deep you want to go in this draft. So if you're the Vikings, and if you get wind of anybody trying to trade up into the next 3 or 4, you got to kind of think, that, we got the pick in. Tennessee Titans pick is in, but you got to think that now they're going to be a little bit leery of maybe somebody behind them jumping up ahead of them and getting JJ McCarthy. So we'll see. But now is when the strategy starts to come into play. You know, if you're a GM and you're going to say, you know what, I'm just sticking with my board. If we get them, we get them. If we don't, we don't. You know, if you got somebody else, Penix, Bo Nix, whatever, okay. But right now, the way it would fall, you've got teams, unless Tennessee is not completely in love with Will Levis, you've already got teams that have quarterbacks ahead of them, which means the Minnesota Vikings are somewhat sitting in the catbird seat for the services of JJ McCarthy. So we'll see what direction they go. But now's when the intrigue begins, because you wonder what team sitting back there, say like Denver, because they could use a quarterback, say like Denver, do they make a move and try to jump the Vikings and trade with the Jets? Do they go in that direction? This is good. I mean, if you're obviously in the NFC North, we're watching this go on right now because you're going to have Jared Goff for a while anyway over in the North. You're going to have Caleb Williams for the next 4 or 5 years in the North. Whoever the Vikings get for the next 3, 4, or 5 years in the North, and then a very young quarterback in Jordan Love in the North. Now it's what team in the arms race builds the team around them to make them the most successful. And longevity-wise, with watching the salary cap and such as to what it is they can and can't do, who remains more viable? This has a lot of ramifications going on right now. The pick is in. The Tennessee Titans are going to be having their pick announced any moment from now. The commissioner is going to be coming to as soon as they get back from commercial break. We're going to go to commercial break, top of the hour. Give us about 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Excited about this stuff. Good stuff tonight. Don't go anywhere. More of the 2024 NFL Draft coming up right after this.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Suit up for the $800,000 Sports Car Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. April through May. Score free play, cash, one of 4 new Toyota GR86s or a new Toyota Supra. Play with your club card to earn entries. 5 times the entries on drawing days and when the Milwaukee Brewers play at home. Got what it takes? Slugger, only at Potawatomi. For more details, visit paysbig.com/sportscar. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Beautify your entertainment space with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Turn your ordinary space into something extraordinary with brand new Pella windows. The luxurious look, sleek design, and custom colors available is guaranteed to give your home the extra pop to entertain and keep you comfortable. At Pella, we see windows differently. We have the highest rated energy efficient products and a complete range of durable, functional, and high quality products that bring out the best of your home. Plus, getting the perfect windows and doors for your home has never been easier.
In the 2024 NFL Draft,
interest for up to 36 months, or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months if you book before April 30th. That's right, get 0% interest for up to 36 months, or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. If you book before April 30th, take ownership of your living space and make it a place worth living with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
So it sounds like you're ready. Are you ready? The NFL Draft is officially open.
it's just an exciting time, probably for all 32 teams, but certainly for us.
The Green Bay Packers select
Iowa corner Cooper Jean, Chop Robinson.
Jordan Morgan is a heck of a player.
It's the Bill Michaels Draft Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome back into the 2024 coverage of the first round of the NFL Draft. We are glad you are with us tonight. The Atlanta Falcons are now on the clock with just over 4 minutes remaining. If you missed it while we were away, the Tennessee Titans, they went with J.C. Latham, the big offensive tackle, 6'6", 342 out of Alabama. The kid that said we can get up on out of here. He was going to try to run a 4.40. But big dude, strong guy, massive right tackle, strength to move the defensive lineman off the ball, overwhelm linebackers at the second level. He plays with an edge, as they say, buries defenders. His hand placement got even better last year, and he rarely loses, and he wins with his hands in pass protection. And he bends really well. He's a guy that we always talk about pad level, bends really well. And as far as the change of direction goes, they say his footwork is almost second to none. He's just that good. Big right tackle, J.C. Latham. And that was one of the needs of the Tennessee Titans. They needed an offensive lineman. That was one of the things that we had kind of discussed. Now you start to think, okay, who's the best available right now? Well, you got the edge rusher, Dallas Turner. And it looks like, by the way, that quick, the Falcons pick is in. And we're going to go to the commissioner coming up here momentarily as the Falcons are on the clock. You know what that means? The second pick for the Chicago Bears. What will they do? Who will they pair up with Caleb Williams on that Bears roster? But
I just saw a tweet, Bill, and I'm not going to spoil, but if this is true, this Falcons pick is shocking, in my opinion. I'm not going to spoil. Just you listen to the commissioner. I want you to react. But if what I'm seeing is true, this is nuts.
Now you got me intrigued.
That's why we're here.
Now you got me intrigued. So with the Falcons,
I'm seeing it multiple places now. Wait until you get a load of this.
They need a cornerback. They need edge rush help. They've got Quinyon Mitchell is a guy that they could be going after. But you get it a little bit early, obviously, because of Twitter. And it's been better this year as far as not leaking out the picks prior to. This is the first time I think all night that we've seen it actually way before. You know what I mean?
Well, and if I was watching at home, I just probably would be relaxing and not on, but because we're doing the show, like I'm trying to see things, and this is a doozy. I can't wait for you to hear this live.
Okay. So we're gonna find out. Going to find out coming up here momentarily. But they are waiting patiently right now for stop it. I just saw it.
You saw?
Yeah. Well, Tyler Dunn just tweeted me or just messaged me. Michael Penix Jr.?
Right?
Wow.
What?
Well, you know what? You got Kirk Cousins. They've got to figure out a quarterback. It's not a terrible move for them, but for what they need versus what they want, Arthur Blank in the room, so to speak, as the pick is just about ready to be announced by the commissioner. We'll go to that live coming up here momentarily. Michael Penix Jr. They chose him over McCarthy, which is interesting. And yet another pick slides by the wayside still to have McCarthy. Now, maybe they just, in some rating systems, sometimes we see this where they value another player over another player where maybe they're all just kind of the same. And they're going to take, again, McCarthy continues to slide. But it looks like the guy that most of the rumors coming out of Minnesota that they were interested in McCarthy, he continues to slide in that direction. So Atlanta's saying, hey, we think we've got a pretty good team. Let's draft for the future. A guy that can learn behind Kirk Cousins, maybe get a lot of regular season wins and fail miserably in the postseason. He's going to be our guy. Here we go. Here's the pick from the commissioner as he makes the announcement for the Atlanta Falcons. It's coming.
For NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Penix Jr.
There you go. There you go. It's official. And I find it interesting. Some fans cheering, all right, let's go. There's our future, all that kind of stuff. And then other fans in the back behind them, Atlanta Falcons fans, their mouth is agape like, are you kidding me? Really? Seriously? Well, they've got two starting quarterbacks. But if, you know what? I'll never forget a conversation that we had a few years back in Atlanta during the Super Bowl. And I've told this story 1,000 times, but this gentleman walks up to me on the floor of State Farm Arena, which is where they had the opening night. He says, "Are you enjoying yourself?" And I turn around and it's Arthur Blank. And we had this conversation about the city. We had this conversation. He asked where I was from. I said, I'm in, Wisconsin. I cover the Green Bay Packers, worked with the Packers for, 11 years. And he talked about the admiration and the fact that the Packers found Rodgers and let him sit a few years behind Favre. And he knows that created consternation. But, he talked about that. And it probably didn't take much convincing for Arthur Blank when they said, hey, I think we're going to try to find the future because we know Kirk Cousins isn't going to be a long-term, thing. And he gets to learn at least a year behind Kirk Cousins. And so they went with Michael Penix Jr. So there you go. Now the Bears are on the clock. Now, do they go edge rusher? Do they go wide receiver in this particular case? Which way do they go? Because the best available right now is the edge rusher, Dallas Turner. They've got the wide receiver out of Washington, Odunze. Still JJ McCarthy sitting there. So what direction they'll go, we'll wait and see.
They could take Brock Bowers, the tight end, too.
They could take the tight end.
Bears could do Bears. This is played out exactly how the Bears could have hoped.
Yes.
They have a pick of they could take a top defensive player or they could take a weapon at tight end or a wide receiver.
Yep.
This Bears fans couldn't ask for anything better.
Yep, no doubt. So we'll see if the Bears make a trade. Right now, no, wait a minute. They didn't trade. The Bears pick is just announced as it's in, and we'll get the commissioner when he comes to the podium. But the Bears, what do they do? Who do they take? So now all the intrigue begins in regards to the Chicago Bears. So 4 quarterbacks off the board in the first 8 picks tonight. 4 quarterbacks off the board in the first 8 picks. And you got to assume that the Minnesota Vikings are still sitting there smiling as to what it is they may not have to give up to get a quarterback, because you just assumed that they were going to have to take a big leap, and instead the board is just straight falling to them. I'm getting word that the Bears have taken the wide receiver Rome Odunze, 9th overall, which would make sense. He's the next wide receiver. He's the second best player in many draft categories on the board. And obviously a big kid coming out of Washington, 6'3", 212 pounds, good speed, no doubt, 1,640 yards receiving last season, vertical threat. A guy that, the Packers are going to have to look at now and go, okay, we got to start preparing for this cat. 6'3", 212, and he's got good wheels. So he is, he's going to be a guy that if you're Jair Alexander, you're going, okay, that's my next guy. That's the next guy I'm going to have to cover for the Chicago Bears. Pay attention. So the Bears pick is in, no trade. They didn't move back. They didn't take any additional draft capital. So now we wait and see what the Bears actually do. And then after this pick, we will step out. We'll take a break because then we're creeping up after that, you've got one of the better players that are on the board is still JJ McCarthy, but we're going to be creeping up as the Bears are going to make their pick. The Jets are going to be on the clock, and then we're going to pay attention to what happens with the Minnesota Vikings. Here comes the commissioner right now to make the announcement for the Bears pick and the 9th overall pick in this year's NFL draft. So here we go.
With the 9th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Rome Odunze, Wide receiver, Washington.
There you go. Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington, going to the Chicago Bears. So the Bears get a quarterback, and they get a big, strong, speedy wide receiver who's a good downfield threat. The Bears trying to bolster everything almost in an immediate night. There you have it. All right, let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. And that puts the Jets on the clock. What do they do to help Aaron Rodgers? Stay tuned.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
When we left you, the New York Jets were on the clock. But it's not the Jets making the pick. We felt this was coming, and sure enough, it happened. The Vikings have traded up. Somebody behind them must have been talking to the New York Jets, and they felt they couldn't wait. So the Jets make the trade. The Jets fall back one spot. The Vikings move up. They get the 10th pick and then a 6th round pick at number 203 in the draft. The Jets get the 11th pick. They only go back one spot, plus an additional 4th round pick at 129 and a 5th round pick at 157. So the Vikings have made a trade. The Vikings are now on the clock, and the Vikings pick is in. And we'll get that announcement immediately when they come back from the network commercial break. But Grant, we kind of felt that somebody like Denver might have been trying to leapfrog, because they want a quarterback too, might have been trying to leapfrog the Minnesota Vikings. And we know the Vikings, they need a quarterback. They need defensive tackle help, offensive guard, offensive tackle, cornerback, running back. I mean, they got a lot. But JJ McCarthy, you got to think that JJ McCarthy's the next one off the board.
Yeah, so the NFC North will have 2 new starting quarterbacks. The NFC North is getting a huge injection of talent, even through the first 10 picks, right? And the Vikings, they keep their other first-round pick in this, too. They gave up, a 4th and a 5th to only move the one spot. So I think this first round actually worked out pretty well for the Vikings and the Bears, unless the Vikings, really wanted Drake Maye, but he was never available. So I think this first round has gone just about as well as Bears fans and Vikings fans could have hoped.
Right. I would agree. Yeah, the Vikings are, they didn't have to give up nearly what because if they were going to jump up 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces, it was going to be at least a couple of ones eventually. But now to only move up one space, have everything fall back to them, boy, they ended up kind of in the catbird seat in all of this. So we're waiting for the Vikings to make their pick and waiting for the commissioner, which the pick is in. We're waiting for the commissioner now to come to the podium and make the announcement. But you got to assume that it's going to be JJ McCarthy. He looks happy. The phone is on the couch next to him. He's all smiles. He might have just gotten off the phone, but we're waiting to find out who that is. And meantime, the edge rusher, Dallas Turner, kind of continues to fall. No, I'm not going to say he's going to fall to 25. Somebody's going to grab him. But he's the guy that's next available, the best overall on the board. But it's probably going to be JJ McCarthy, who is the quarterback out of Michigan, and was so highly hyped by Harbaugh that it almost became somewhat sickening. But nevertheless, he looks like he's going to be the Minnesota Vikings quarterback.
Well, think about this. We're at pick 10. McCarthy's probably going to go. I think the Jets will probably take a tackle, and then Denver. Denver could do a long list of things. But if they take Bo Nix, Bill, we're 12 picks deep, and we haven't had a defensive player come off the board yet.
Nope.
Which I'm sure is some sort of record. If I was a better producer, I'd probably dig and find it. So I'll get to work on that, and I'll let you talk.
When did the Vikings send their cheerleaders to this thing? I just saw that the Vikings cheerleaders, a couple of them are in the crowd cheering on the Vikings and their fans. I see these skull signs in the background. God, I hate that. Between the skull sign and that damn chant and that damn horn. Oh, just not. Don't like it. Never have. So we're just waiting for the commissioner to come and make the announcement that for what we all believe is going to happen, and that is that JJ McCarthy, the quarterback out of Michigan, is going to end up being the 10th pick in the draft, and he is going to go to Minnesota and the Vikings, and it will be the next arm in the arms race that is the NFC North. Now, how about that? Jared Goff is the old guy. Think of that for a minute. Jared Goff is the old guy. And this is going to be one of those interesting announcements because they're coming out on the stage with team taps, and we'll get the rundown as to the crew that is with the commissioner at this point as he makes that announcement. So let's take a listen.
To help make the Minnesota Vikings selection, we are honored to have with us the surviving mother, brothers, and nephew of fallen hero, United States Army Sergeant Zachary Ewing. Zachary died after a battle with cancer, a cancer that was discovered after he was injured during his second deployment to Iraq. We salute him and thank his family and TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, which offers care to those grieving the loss of a military loved one. I'm now going to turn this over to Sergeant Ewing's nephew, Asher, who will announce the pick in honor of his uncle. Come on,
With the 10th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select
JJ McCarthy,
quarterback, Michigan.
There you go, quarterback out of Michigan. JJ McCarthy. He is now chosen, kind of what we thought, the Minnesota Vikings. They had to get some intel that JJ McCarthy was going to be sought after, most likely by Denver. And they needed to make a move, and they did, and they got the guy they wanted. So the arms race in the NFC North is now on. It's on, baby. It's on. And that then puts the Jets now on the clock. And what are the Jets going to do? Because we know the Jets have specific needs. And some of those needs, when you look at the Jets, they need a tackle. They need more help for a wide receiver. And they need a tight end. I mean, just about everything revolves right now around building up that offense, and specifically the offensive line and weaponry for Aaron Rodgers when he makes his return. So you've got Brock Bowers, as you had mentioned, Grant, who's probably one of the better guys right now on this draft board, 6'3", 243. He's the tight end out of Georgia. Don't forget, if they really wanted to do something, the edge rusher Dallas Turner, who was projected to go top 10, has now fallen out of the top 10 and is still sitting there, the edge rusher out of Alabama. So, as we sit here and start to break all of this down and look at this, very interesting stuff happening. Have we taken a break? Do I need to go to break, by the way?
Oh, no, we're good until the bottom of the hour.
Good. Okay, I couldn't remember if we took a break or not. I was over here just kind of getting into it. So I wanted to kind of get into all of that. So you've got the Jets that are on the clock. And, as we mentioned, the Jets have a plethora of needs. And the Jets kind of building around the future of the Hall of Fame quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Plenty of new faces, along with the offensive line, the left tackle, Tyron Smith. Remember, they picked up from Dallas. And Tyron Smith, boy, if he stays healthy, that's a hell of a find. Hell of a find. Right tackle, Morgan Moses. Guard, John Simpson. They're trying to build up a much better offensive line so Aaron Rodgers don't get beat up again. They could select another tackle if they are kind of unsure about that depth behind the two veterans. Rodgers, though, he's got to appreciate another receiver and maybe a more dynamic tight end on this roster. And the turnover at safety makes the position a little bit of a priority as well. The linebacking core could be bulked up somewhat if they select a corner or maybe even a pass rusher of value. Never a bad thing. But you got to think it's going to be an offensive weapon of some type, whether it's to protect Aaron Rodgers or it's going to be a pass-catching option for Aaron Rodgers. And we know that he locks on. It takes him a while to get on the same page, but I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that you get right now Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, who then comes off the board. You still have some others, too. I mean, don't forget about it. You've got Quinyon Mitchell, the corner out of Toledo, Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama. You've got an edge rusher, the kid out of UCLA, Latu as well. But still Dallas Turner just kind of sitting there. And you would assume that if they decide to go defense, that's going to be the guy. But everything becomes intriguing after that. Because go ahead.
No. Keep going. Finish.
No, I was going to say, because you got Denver, who's now on the clock because we just kind of heard that the pick is in for the Jets. So the Jets, very quick, they make their pick. They're ready to go. Then you're going to go to the Raiders. Denver is on the clock, and we know what Denver needs. Denver needs a quarterback. They need cornerback help. Their secondary is not great. Their defensive line is not great. Their offensive line, they need to bolster that. Then you get to the Raiders, and the Raiders, they're looking for a quarterback. Second-year pro Aiden O'Connell, a free agent acquisition. Gardner Minshew could definitely find themselves kind of competing with a young quarterback if the Raiders go in that direction. But that's who they've got, a quarterback right now. They need a quarterback as well. So go ahead and say what you're going to say real quick, because I know the pick is in and the commissioner's coming to the podium.
Yeah, real quick on the Jets. Lineman, wide receiver, both are good. When you're a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles, this has to be a tackle. You don't get to take the shiny object. I think it's unserious to take anything but a lineman here.
You would assume, right? You would assume. But let's be honest, it's the Jets. And they trusted Aaron Rodgers with Randall Cobb and everybody else.
With the 11th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Olu Fashanu, tackle,
there you go.
Penn State.
There you go, Fashanu. He is the tackle out of Penn State. He is the guy that is going to be protecting Aaron Rodgers. They went with the depth. We know that they picked up in the offseason some opportunities to get a little bit better. And they picked up, obviously, by picking up Tyron Smith and such. They wanted to make sure they bolstered the tackle position, had some anchors for the offensive line. And in this particular case, they're hedging their bets because they're saying, hey, look, guys, the guys we picked up are good. But let's just say, for S's and giggles, that they get injured like their history has proven. We're going to make sure we go after a little more stability. Fashanu is the guy out of Penn State. The Denver Broncos now are on the clock. Let's do this. We're going to break a little early because we want to get the Denver Broncos pick as we come back. Denver, as we all know, they're looking for quarterback. They're looking for cornerback, defensive line, and outside backer. Right now, the best available, if you want to look at it, still Dallas Turner, the big edge rusher out of Alabama. You've got Quinyon Mitchell, the kid out of Toledo, the corner. Terrion Arnold, the big corner out of Alabama. They've got opportunities right now. And still, Brock Bowers out of Georgia, the tight end, he's still sitting out there for whomever it is that they get that is eventually going to play quarterback for that team. So a lot of good stuff going on right now. Don't go anywhere. Oh, wait a minute. I believe, hold on. So before they got to finish the interviews with the guys that just got picked. Let's do this. Oh, no, he's not even there. That's right. He's at home with getting a hug from Grandma right now. Not a bad way to go. Grandma and the family all around him, a whole house full of people. It's a melting pot. I love it. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes.
Looking for me? We deliver. Yes. What's up? Delivery. Oh my God. What we do? Brakes over, driver. Come on, man.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
That fast. Welcome back. 2024 NFL draft coverage. And we just had the Denver Broncos on the board. They chose Bo Nix. Bo Nix is the choice, and they ended up picking up the quarterback. And they needed one. We all know that. We were talking about that before we went to break. So Bo Nix now is the guy, and he is 6'2", 214 pounds out of Oregon. This was a guy that they were trying to find themselves a quarterback, maybe the next guy of some type. But Bo Nix, he broke the NCAA single-season record for completions, by the way. For completion percentage, I should say, 77.4%, led the FBS in total touchdowns, 45 passing touchdowns, had 6 running touchdowns, by the way, in this past season. Became a really good decision maker, for lack of a better term. And everybody talks about, he can dance around with the football. He's got good downfield vision. He can throw guys open, gets rid of the ball relatively quick when he decides to make a pass, doesn't have a long looping motion. So when it comes to Bo Nix, the Denver Broncos decided to go in that direction, and he becomes one of the top prospects in the National Football League. Now, think about this. If you want to go through the draft and you want to start to look at who has chosen who, you got a quarterback, went first overall, Caleb Williams. That was one. Jayden Daniels, second overall, out of LSU. Number 2, Drake Maye out of North Carolina, quarterback, number 3. Then you go down a few because the quarterback's kind of slow. You had a wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. Joe Alt, the offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, goes to the Chargers. Malik Nabers goes to the Giants. The wide receiver, J.C. Latham, out of Alabama. He ends up going to the Tennessee Titans. Then you had another quarterback go to Michael Penix Jr. goes to Atlanta. Then Odunze is a big wide receiver, 6'2", 209 pounds, can move pretty good. He goes to the Chicago Bears, so they get a quarterback and a top wide receiver. Then JJ McCarthy, then he goes. Then you've got Fashanu, the big offensive tackle out of Penn State, because remember the Vikings and the Jets flip-flop their picks, and now Bo Nix. So if you're scoring along at home, that makes it, 6 quarterbacks that have now gone in this NFL draft? 6 quarterbacks in the top 12 picks of this year's NFL draft. And that means that the Raiders, who are now on the clock, and they're on the clock, the pick just is in. That quick, they made their choice. But we know the Raiders need help. And the Raiders need help in different areas as well. We were going on and on about that a little while ago because they've got Gardner Minshew. They've got Aiden O'Connell. Those 2 quarterbacks, but they need help. Cornerback, they need help with. Offensive line, protection up front, and they could probably use another wide receiver or 2 opposite Devontae Adams. So there you have it. What a fast and furious day so far.
If I was a Broncos fan, I'd be so depressed. Bo Nix, to me, just seems like another Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler. Like, it's so perfectly Broncos in the worst way. I mean,
yeah. Is this the commissioner coming to the podium? Here he is again.
He's pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Las Vegas Raiders select Brock Bowers.
Whoa.
Tight end, Georgia.
Tight end. They went with a tight end, somebody to throw to. Brock Bowers out of Georgia has now become a Raider. Areta. I thought the girl sitting next to him, by the way, had on thigh-high boots, and really it's just a whole full leg body tattoo. That's the most intriguing thing about this to me, is that the girl sitting off to his left, our right, who I thought was wearing like snakeskin thigh-high boots, instead that's just a tattoo. So there you have it. I thought that they may go with Dallas Turner, another edge rusher who's still sitting there, and his value is incredibly high, that he would be still sitting there. And can you imagine trying to defend him and Max Crosby? That would have been an incredible, fearsome front that the Raiders would have. So, but instead they go Brock Bowers out of Georgia. Now, that puts the New Orleans Saints now on the clock, followed up in the on-deck circle, we'll say, to use a baseball terminology. You got the Indianapolis Colts, Seahawks, Jaguars, then Bengals, then Rams and Steelers to round out the top 20. We're already 13 picks into this thing, kind of flying by at this point. So we're getting up on pick 14, and we're only a few picks away from being halfway through this NFL draft, if you can believe it. Man, it's motoring past. So Brock Bowers, an entire happy crew that's all there. Georgia Bulldogs are in the house, well represented, and he ends up going to the Raiders. Now, when you look at the New Orleans Saints, who are on the clock, they need all kinds of help. They need offensive line, they need wide receiver. They're likely still, they could take a tackle. Ryan Ramchak's lingering knee issue has been a problem for them. They could take a tackle. And don't forget their first round pick. Go back to Trevor Penning. He's continued to struggle up front. The defensive line, linebacker group, and secondary, the cornerback, Paulson Adebo, and is a 2025 free agent. He's going to receive some attention as well in the draft because they could possibly do that and go in that direction, thinking ahead for contract situations. So a new receiver could join them. We'll wait and see. But nevertheless, they've got some work to do. And I don't necessarily expect them to be contenders anytime soon. So there you go. And the Saints are on the clock. Just one more time to recap halfway through this thing almost. Caleb Williams goes number 1, the quarterback to the Chicago Bears. The Commanders get Jayden Daniels, the quarterback out of LSU. The Patriots stand pat. They take Drake Maye, the quarterback out of North Carolina. The Arizona Cardinals did exactly what we thought they would do. Take the wide receiver out of Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. Joe Alt, the big offensive tackle, 6'9" out of Notre Dame. He goes to the Chargers and Harbaugh's new team. Malik Nabers, the speedy wide receiver out of LSU, goes number 6 to the New York Giants. The Titans, they stuck with the trenches. They go with the big offensive tackle out of Alabama, J.C. Latham. Then another quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., and somewhat of a surprise move, goes to the Atlanta Falcons. They've got Kirk Cousins, who they signed in the offseason, but now they're thinking about the future. Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington, he goes at number 9 to the Chicago Bears, 6'2", 209 pounds, got some good speed, big hands, and leaping ability. That's going to be problematic for the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North. They get a new quarterback in Chicago and a good wide receiver to go along with it. The Minnesota Vikings make a trade with the New York Jets. They jump up to number 10. They then take JJ McCarthy, the quarterback out of Michigan. Fashanu, as the Jets go back one space at number 11, the big offensive tackle out of Penn State, he goes number 11 to the Jets to protect Aaron Rodgers. Bo Nix, the quarterback out of Oregon, then goes number 12 to the Denver Broncos, and then the Las Vegas Raiders. They ended up taking Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia. You got to wonder right now if somebody, because we've seen the picks go pretty quick tonight. And I understand that, for the networks right now, they're in somewhat of a commercial break. And I understand that. But the Saints are taking this all the way down. We're down now just approaching 3 minutes left in their choice. Everybody else that's had a pick that knew exactly what they wanted, it's been pretty quick. The pick came in relatively quick, even if they had to finish the commercial break. I wonder if the Saints are fielding any phone calls right now. I don't know who would be jumping up specifically as to why. Maybe it could be Cincinnati, who also needs a wide receiver, because you don't know what they're going to end up doing with T. Higgins. because he wants out of Cincinnati. He's talked about it. Then he wanted to stay. Then he wanted back out. So we'll see what happens there. We know the Indianapolis Colts, they need some help. They need a corner. They need a wide receiver. They also need a running back, but I don't think you're going to take a running back in the first round. You've got a defensive lineman, edge rusher also for the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe they're trying to move up. Somebody might be trying to grab what maybe they covet ahead of them. There's Jacksonville right now who needs a corner. They also need some defensive line help. They spend money at cornerback with Ronald Darby and the defensive tackle Armstead in free agency. Remember, Armstead ended up leaving San Francisco. He is now down in Jacksonville. So you wonder what direction, but they're still looking for contributors at both of those spots. So you got to wonder what they're thinking as well. And maybe with this clock ticking down now, it's under 2 minutes for the New Orleans Saints, what direction they're going to go, and if anybody is on the phone currently with them to maybe move up. So we'll see what happens there. But the Saints right now, with just under 2 minutes to go, they are about ready to announce that their pick is in, and then we're going to hear from the commissioner yet again as he makes that announcement. Right after he makes the announcement for the New Orleans Saints, we'll quickly take a break and come back and continue the coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft and what it is we're doing and you're doing. And all the Packers, by the way, there you go. They didn't grind it all the way down. But the Saints, the pick is in. We should be hearing from the commissioner coming up momentarily. And Brian Gutekunst, he's going to wait it out. He's just going to watch the draft board fall to him. And who knows? Maybe it falls to where they end up also getting themselves an edge rusher before it's all said and done, which is still Dallas Turner's still sitting there. And he's still considered the best available at this point. The big 6'3", 247 edge rusher coming out of Alabama, he continues to fall. He was supposed to go top 10, and we're still waiting for him to come off the board. So we'll see. We'll see what the Saints do. The Saints, by the way, did keep their draft pick. They did not trade it. So they should be making the announcement for the New Orleans Saints momentarily. Any rumors floating around, Grant? Let's go back to you real quick. Anything going on?
Nothing crazy. Your intuition was correct, though. Ian Rappaport said that the Saints were fielding calls. He tweeted that basically right as they were coming onto the clock. So your thought process of why this is taking a long time was correct.
Yeah.
I just don't know. It feels like with Brock Bowers coming off the board, that was kind of the last elite player that might be worth trading up for.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no quarterbacks left. The best wide receivers, best tackles, and the best tight end is off the board. So I don't know who would be.
I still think the edge rusher, Dallas Turner, is a guy that if you really covet and you would want him after all of this and you watched him fall, that would be a guy you would trade up for. Now, not a lot. You maybe go up a space or two at best if somebody else is going to be coveting that position. But that might be a guy that you would trade up for. He's still got that top 10 value. At least that's what most people in the draft that did all the mock drafts and all the analysis felt that he was going to be a guy that was going to go top 10. So we'll wait and see. And the Saints and the commissioners should be coming to the podium momentarily. But what a night. It fell perfectly for Chicago. It fell perfectly for Minnesota. Let's hope that it falls perfectly for Brian Gutekunst and his staff and what it is they're hoping to covet out of the first round of the NFL draft. So
one funny thing before we go to break, Daniel Jeremiah reporting the Falcons did not give Kirk Cousins a heads up that they were selecting Michael Penix Jr.
Well,
I don't really care about, but people gave the Packers a ton of crap for it. So we'll see how people react to this.
Well, Kirk Cousins is not on his way to the Hall of Fame, though. Maybe in the monetary Hall of Fame. Here's the commissioner, by the way.
With the 14th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Tolaise Fuaga.
Fuaga comes off the board. Not a bad pick. I love the fact that their fans go nuts. The big offensive tackle out of Oregon, which is really cool, by the way. He's from Hawaii. His family is all around him. They're all wearing flowered leis, Hawaiian shirts, and a terrific story. But Fuaga comes off the board. Tolaise Fuaga, outstanding run blocker, by the way. Big, beefy run blocker. Goes to the New Orleans Saints with the strength to move defenders on the ball. He's got good quickness, big time. He's a guy also, even though Hawaiians, they like to talk about, the softer side of things. This guy's a baller, and this guy's a guy that you want to go into a street fight with. 6'5", 324 pounds, big beefy cat. That is Fuaga going to the Saints. And that means that the Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot more coverage of our 2024 NFL draft coming up right after this. And the offensive tackles are coming off the board like water off a waterfall now.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It is the 2024 NFL Draft, and it's our coverage beginning to end of round one. We are so happy that you were with us. The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock at this point. Let's do this. Let's go live. Let's go to Lambeau Field. Mike Clemens stopping by and joining us, giving us the tenor up at Lambeau up in Green Bay. Mike, what's going on up there?
I'm working out of my media office here and monitoring, so my feed is just about 30-second delay. But then as soon as I get done with this report, then I'm going back downstairs into the media auditorium where whoever they pick in this first round tonight, we're going to have a Zoom call with that player from their home, or if they still happen to be in Detroit. I heard there's only like 13 or 14 players that showed up on the big stage tonight in Detroit, and I was actually talking to one Packers person that said, well, we got a pick there. I'll let you take that.
No, we got the pick is in, but we have not seen the commissioner come to the stage.
Haven't seen the commissioner come to the stage. A lot of people here are already talking about it's going to be here a year from now. the draft is going to be here in Green Bay. Where are they going to put it? And what I'm hearing is 2 locations, maybe somewhere out on the grounds, or actually inside the bowl. Inside Lambeau Field would be the stage with the stadium inside as the backdrop. But the word is they're getting from the league, and it's the league that runs this show. Let's get through Detroit. Let's see how that works. Then we'll focus on Green Bay and start that. In terms of what I've seen in the draft tonight, a really nice move for the Chicago Bears. As a matter of fact, Daniel Jeremiah, on a conference call that we had, he suggested the Bears, at the top of the pick, could get their quarterback and a wide receiver, and that's exactly what they were able to do. That the Rome Odunze was able to drop down to 9. They didn't have to trade up or anything like that. There he was on the board. That had to do, in part with some of the trades that were going on for quarterbacks, for JJ McCarthy to go to the Vikings when they traded up with the Jets. Then the Jets used their pick to get a tackle. And, it's weird. I mean, Sam Darnold drafted by the Jets in 2018. Now he ends up, with the Vikings. Kirk Cousins moves on to the Falcons. The Falcons make a pick, for a quarterback.
Mike, hang on one second. I want to get this. In. Here's the commissioner. Hold on.
With the 15th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Latu, defensive end, UCLA.
Well, there you go. Latu goes out of UCLA, and he ends up going to the Indianapolis Colts. So there you have it. So the Colts have made their pick, and that now puts the Seattle Seahawks squarely on the clock. So, Mike, please continue.
Yeah, so the Bears get a good receiver, man. At 9 overall out of Washington, Rome Odunze. Some people thought in the last 24 hours, some of the national mock drafts said that he could have gone in the top 5 or so. But otherwise, those players that came off the board, like people have been talking about, Jayden Daniels to the Commanders, Drake Maye, picked by Elliott Wolf, the former Packers guy now running the Patriots operation, and the Cardinals getting Marvin Harrison tonight. Big Joe Alt, the great offensive tackle from Notre Dame, goes to Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Mike, it's interesting because you start to look at some of the guys that have not come off the board. You got the big edge rusher Dallas Turner, who is still sitting there. Everybody thought he'd be a top 10 pick, and he's not come off the board yet. You've got Quinyon Mitchell, the corner. You got Terrion Arnold, the corner. You've also got Cooper DeJean, the corner. You got quite a few defensive players that are still there right now. Jared Verse, the big edge rusher out of Florida State. The Packers could end up with a really solid defensive player the way the board is falling right now.
And this is where Gutekunst wants to be about this time, too, because he wants to still see a pocket of about 3 or 4, maybe 5, as many as 5 players in the first round at different positions. A defensive back that could either play safety or at the corner in case Eric Stokes can't get back. Maybe some inside linebacker help. I wouldn't be surprised if a linebacker gets taken at 25 for Green Bay. And the other thing to do is, if you're really into watching this draft, don't look at these vertical mock drafts. What you do is you take the first or second rounds, and then you pull all the players that are predicted to be at the top, and you put them underneath position. Because you know why? That's the way these GMs are looking at it. They're looking at defensive backs, offensive linemen, quarterbacks. They're looking under positions, and they see 4 or 5 players there with all different grades. But that's the way they pull them off, so they can think more in terms of depth chart, and needs, as well as they mix in with the highest pick. And so that kind of gives you a better idea as to when they're on the clock, what are the real 3 or 4 choices that they're looking at?
Mike, I can't help but go back to what it is you said. We obviously start to look forward to next year and the draft coming to Green Bay. I can only imagine the scene it would be if they did this thing. I can't imagine them doing it on the field because we know what that field is. It's like the altar. But, man, what the scene would be is if they decided to put down something over that entire field and make that the site of the NFL draft with Lambeau Field ablaze in the background with Tony Canadeo and Brett Favre and Reggie White and all the numbers retired behind him. That would be just an amazing sight.
Yeah, and, the other joke going around is that, he had Roger Goodell had Eminem out there.
Right.
Sort of an artist that came from them. And then they brought out Barry Sanders. They brought out, some other former Detroit Lion plays out there, some current ones. But we're trying to think, who's the famous actor or musician out of Green Bay? We're
right.
kind of trying to scratch our heads. There's one guy that did the detective series. It was like OCD. I can't remember him. Tony something.
Exactly. We don't know. Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever. For sure, it's on the minds of the Packers already. Watching this, they've got advanced people in Detroit this weekend figuring out how they're going to pull off the logistics of an NFL draft in Green Bay with as big as the crowd you see tonight in Detroit.
Yeah, it would be exciting. I got to think that they didn't put it inside Ford Field on that field. So I got to think they're not going to put it inside Lambeau Field. I got to think that they're going to build one of these giant monstrosities in that back parking lot and have Lambeau Field in like the shadowing over or something to that effect, because it would blow my mind if they decided to put this thing inside Lambeau Field. I would be.
Well, Sarah from the Packers is already softening the runway for us and saying, we may have to shuttle you guys into the media center.
Okay.
Like, in other words, we'll be parked somewhere in, Appleton.
Right. Yeah. We're going to get that bus where everybody, as we drive past and start to pull into the stadium, we're going to get mooned. At least we get to see some bare naked, Green Bay butts when that happens.
Yeah. Feel like Randy Moss. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to bring my own dozen eggs just to see what happens and see where I can land one. So, but it's going to be exciting. No doubt. Hey, one thing you can ask her if you're going to see Sarah Quick running around there, Mike, is, and selfishly speaking, where are we setting up next year?
Where are we setting up?
Where are we setting up? And if we're, if they're inviting the state to come and do their broadcast there, or if we're going to be outside?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're trying to first figure out where to put the stage with the players. I'm assuming in terms of us, media, it's pretty much the same situation. Auditorium, we bring in, the GM, the scouts, and then like tonight, I should have quotes from the player if they get a player at 25, and a Zoom call from wherever they are, either in Detroit or at home, where we can get some Q&A and find out who the next Green Bay Packer is going to be.
We are 15 picks in, 16 is on the clock, the Seattle Seahawks, and as a matter of fact, the pick is in. We should have it after the top of the hour. Mike, hang in there. We'll come back to you in just a little bit. Keep doing your thing, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
All right, buddy. There you go. Mike Clemens live at Lambeau Field. We got a lot more. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. The 2024 NFL Draft is continuing on right after this.
Suit up for the $800,000 Sports Car Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. April through May, score free play, cash, one of 4 new Toyota GR86s or a new Toyota Supra. Play with your club card to earn entries, 5 times the entries on drawing days, and when the Milwaukee Brewers play at home. Got what it takes, Slugger? Only at Potawatomi. For more details, visit paysbig.com/sportscar. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Beautify your entertainment space with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Turn your ordinary space into something extraordinary with brand new Pella windows. The luxurious look, sleek design, and custom colors available is guaranteed to give your home the extra pop to entertain and keep you comfortable. At Pella, we see windows differently. We have the highest rated energy efficient products and a complete range of durable, functional, and high quality products that bring out the best of your home. Plus, getting the perfect windows and doors for your home has never been easier. Right now, get 0% interest for up to 36 months. Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months if you book before April 30th. That's right, get 0% interest for up to 36 months, or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. If you book before April 30th, take ownership of your living space and make it a place worth living with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Rural Mutual Insurance. keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
So it sounds like you're ready. Are you ready? The NFL draft is officially open.
It's just an exciting time, probably for all 32 teams, but certainly for us.
The Green Bay Packers select the Iowa corner, Cooper DeJean, Chop Robinson. Jordan Morgan is a heck of a player.
It's the Bill Michaels Draft Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
And no more than we come back. The Seattle Seahawks, who are on the clock, the pick is in. Welcome back to hour number 3 in our coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft. We should hear from the commissioner coming up here momentarily, and we'll get his assessment as he makes the announcement as to whom is going to become a Seattle Seahawk. We'll give you the rundown and the complete top to bottom thus far as to who has been chosen in this year's NFL draft. But when you start to think and look at what's still available, now remember, we are sitting at pick number 16, which makes the Green Bay Packers, 9 picks away, if you do the math, and math was not my best subject. But when you start to look at what's still available, you have got the edge rusher, Dallas Turner, who many thought would be a top 10 pick, and he has fallen on the board. Quinyon Mitchell, the corner out of Toledo. Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama. You've got the corner, Cooper DeJean, out of Iowa. He's still there. The corner, Nate Wiggins, out of Clemson. He's still there. All of those corners, secondary help for the Green Bay Packers is still there. But you go down the list of, say, what the top 9, 10, 8, players are somewhere in that realm, which you know what we're going to do here in just a second, because we're going to find out who the commissioner is going to announce for the Seattle Seahawks, because he's about to announce their pick. Here we go.
You to our men and women who serve in the United States military. Your sacrifices to defend our country's freedom do not go unnoticed. Thank you so much. With the 16th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Byron Murphy, defensive tackle,
wow.
Texas.
Defensive tackle out of Texas, Byron Murphy. And he was certainly listed as maybe the top 5, 6, 7 players that were still on the board. Outstanding, by the way, run defender. And they like the trenches. We all know that out there. John Schneider likes big, beefy guys. He gets off the blocks, pursues with really good effort, gets into gaps. He's a big play disruptor, can get into the backfield. He holds his ground. I mean, he's a guy that doesn't get blown off the ball very often. He is quick with active hands, as they say, and he's an effective lead blocker who can even carry the ball, catch it at times if he needs to, when you talk about goal line packages. So he's been able to do that. But there you go. Byron Murphy, a defensive tackle who has been able to play gadgetry on the offensive side for Texas. So he's a very versatile guy. So when you like athleticism, you like bigger, faster, stronger, and speed, that's who they went with in Seattle, which now means the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. Minnesota, and boy, that quick. Not much turnaround time there. Suddenly the Vikings have made their pick. They knew who they wanted. So now we'll wait and see who else it is that the Minnesota Vikings decide to grab as Minnesota. Now, we know they got their quarterback, okay? So their quarterback, that pick is in. Following Kirk Cousins' relocation to Atlanta, they went ahead right away, got JJ McCarthy. He fell to them. They ended up jumping up one space, but didn't cost them a ton, right? So now you've got to figure they need an offensive lineman. They need another wide receiver. You can also go defensive line if you choose to go in that direction. And the corners and the secondary just continues to fall. If you are a fan of the Packers and you're watching pick by pick by pick come off the board, you're still talking about Dallas Turner. You're still talking about Quinyon Mitchell, the corner. Terrion Arnold, the kid out of Alabama, the corner. You've got Jared Verse as an edge rusher out of Florida State. The center, Graham Barton, who was incredibly versatile, he's still sitting there as well. So he's a guy that a lot of people are, thinking very highly of. Cooper DeJean, he's there. Chop Robinson, the edge rusher out of Penn State. Amarius Mims, don't forget, the big tackle out of Georgia. And you've still got Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's still sitting there. Who is the other guy? Tyler Guyton, the big tackle out of Oklahoma. He's still sitting there. So, man, a lot of really good stuff. Here, real quick. Here we go, the commissioner.
The 17th pick to the Minnesota Vikings. With the 17th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Dallas Turner.
There you go. There you go. The big edge rusher, the linebacker. He's that guy. You kind of felt that he would be getting ready to come off the board at some point. He was considered a top 10. They chose him. They needed some edge rush and linebacking help. And the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love now have to fear this cat because he's solid. 6'3", 247, explodes very quick out of his stance. Really good hands. He was one of the last guys still kind of in that green room waiting to be chosen. So he finally gets a chance to make his way across the stage as he's the number 17th pick overall going to the Vikings. He's got excellent instincts, and his reaction time, it makes it difficult for blockers because he's fast and he can just outrun them. It makes it difficult for blockers at times to keep up with him. So he may not be the biggest cat, but at 6'3", 247, that's a big, strong dude. He's a thick dude. He doesn't look like it all the time, but that's a big, thick dude. But he's got really good feet, and he's got experience dropping into coverage as well, and he can spy the quarterback. He's fast enough to do it. So Dallas Turner so they got their quarterback in JJ McCarthy, and now they're building up their defense a little bit with what is considered to be a really good draft pick in Dallas Turner, and that now puts the Cincinnati Bengals squarely on the clock. So there you go. Anything else we need to add to this, Grant, while I'm kind of rumbling through all this stuff?
Bill, I actually turned my microphone on about 60 seconds ago, and then I turned it off, and I said, he's rolling. I don't need to add anything. So, no, you keep cooking, and if there's anything you need to know, I'll jump in and interrupt you, I'm sure.
Now, Cincinnati, they've got some issues, okay? Their offensive linemen, their tackle, they need some help there. They have not been able to firmly protect Joe Burrow for quite some time. So, the injury history, Trent Brown was signed in free agency, but he's got injury history. The Bengals still likely to find a candidate to replace their former right tackle, Jonah Williams, in the first couple of rounds. They tagged T. Higgins. They re-signed Trenton Irwin. He remains continuity on offense for this year, presuming T. Higgins is not traded. T. Higgins, he does not want the franchise tag. He wants to work out a deal, but Cincinnati still searching for long-term investments at wide receiver. An edge rusher could be selected at some point. Joseph Asai, he's set for free agency next year after the 2025 season. Trey Hendrickson in 2026. So they're looking for depth at the defensive tackle and cornerback position. So there's a lot of different directions Cincinnati could go in this draft. And when you start looking at the best available, again, if they don't go, say, in the direction of, say, Quinyon Mitchell and Toledo, they've seen him. He's right there in their backyard. He would be kind of on a lot of different boards the next up. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of the secondary schools, so to speak, but when you've got talent, it shines. And he excelled during the pre-draft process. He kind of, quote, rocketed up their big board. But then again, if you're looking for a corner, Terrion Arnold, really good. If you're going to look for another corner, Cooper DeJean sitting there, very good. They could go in the direction of, say, offensive help, but the offensive tackle position would be Amarius Mims, and I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility for them to go in that direction or get Guyton out of Alabama. But for the value pick, because they want to protect Joe Burrow, so that is a need, and they've had that need for quite some time. The offensive line has not been great. You could go in the direction of Graham Barton, and Graham Barton might be a great fit in Cincinnati because he can play center. He can play guard, and they've had some injuries. And when you're looking for a versatile guy like that who has even played tackle in his career, that might be the direction they go. Find a guy that can play all over. Find a guy that's very versatile. Find a guy that's got a good size. He's 6'5", 313. He's not a small cat by any stretch of the imagination. Played in the ACC. Started 34 games at left tackle. He's considered like a guard center, but he started 34 games at the left tackle position. So that may be a good pick for Cincinnati, because as much as Cincinnati has defensive issues and they want to look for a wide receiver and they're going to try to keep T. Higgins happy, but you never know, the number one priority in Cincinnati right now should be protect Joe Burrow, because you lost him for the season. And, you know, look, as good as Jake Browning was, he's not Joe Burrow. And you are not going to win that division with the likes of Lamar Jackson, the way he's playing and the way they've stocked that team. And now they've picked up good running backs in the offseason with Derrick Henry going there. Man, that you got to outscore them. You got to worry about your offense, and you got to worry about the protection of Joe Burrow. So Cincinnati could go in that direction as well. So let's do this. We're going to come back. We'll find out what Cincinnati ends up choosing, because we're going to go to break. There at break. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. 2024 NFL draft coverage, first round, beginning to end, coming next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Little Cajun music, as next year's Super Bowl in 2025 is going to be down in New Orleans. And that quick, Cincinnati is making their pick. Here comes the commissioner to the podium as the Bengals are on the clock.
18th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Cincinnati Bengals select Amarius Mims.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Grant, how do we do right there? We called that.
We kind of been all over it tonight, Bill. Not surprising.
Yeah.
We're just throwing fastballs. Really, it started at 10 o'clock this morning. This is nothing new.
Right. We called that. It was just, I know they have needs, and I know there was a whole discussion about what direction they would go and, what wide receivers are going to take in case they want to get rid of CD or get rid of T. Higgins and yada, yada, yada. But, man, I just kept thinking to myself, you've got to protect Joe Burrow. And the way they covet him, and they're already asking down there for, which, by the way, the LA Rams are now on the clock. They're already asking down there for the county and the taxpayers to pay for new seats, new luxury boxes. And Paycor Stadium is not that old, maybe 26, 27 years, something like that, if that. And they want to replace the turf field this year because of the injury that happened to Joe Burrow and some of the other Bengals players. So they want a guy that can play that right tackle, that can protect Joe Burrow's front side, and they went ahead and bolstered that offensive line. At least they've got depth now, but that's a direction that we knew they were going to go. So there you go, the Cincinnati Bengals, and they ended up picking Amarius Mims, the big tackle out of Georgia, big right tackle out of Georgia. And like I said, the Rams are now on the clock. And the Rams, well, they need a defensive lineman. They need corner. There was some talk there that they could possibly trade for a quarterback. We were hearing that a little bit earlier today. But again, we go back to the word subterfuge, and that's basically what it was. They need offensive line help. The retirement of Aaron Donald leaves a huge gap on the Rams' defensive front. Even taking into account the strong play of a guy like, say, Kobe Turner last season, the rookie. But strengthening the edge would be a priority. Cornerback and safety spots on the defense, they're probably going to have to go in that direction. They need to bolster that defense. Left tackles, Alaric Jackson, Joseph Noteboom, they are also going to be free agents after this season. So they could go in a lot of different directions. The well-publicized struggles of the Rams to find a reliable, deep field goal maker last season means the kicker, which I hate to read that, but that's what they're saying out of LA, might be a priority on their list. And I don't take kickers in the draft. If you're going to take a kicker, make it the 6th or 7th round. Beyond that, nope, you don't do it. You don't do it. You bring about 20 of them in, you find the best guy, and you kind of move on from there. So the Rams, they are on the clock. The last time the Rams had a first-round pick, they took Jared Goff overall, 2016. They have not had a first-round pick since then.
This is McVay's first-round pick as head coach of the Rams. How wild is that?
Yeah. The first time. Yep. Exactly. But they took Jared Goff, who is now leading the Detroit Lions into an NFC Championship game this past season. And they went with Matthew Stafford. They made the trade. They got themselves a ring. And now they're trying to build it back up again to run one more time back for a go at it while Matthew Stafford is still under center. So the Rams have a lot of different directions that they can go. I do like the fact that the Rams are holding their own draft party with the big mascot ram. I think that's, is that Santa Monica Pier or maybe just south of there in Venice? I can't remember where they're doing their party. I don't think it's Santa Monica Pier because Santa Monica Pier is like a carnival. It's got, craziness all over it, rides and restaurants and all kinds of stuff. But the Rams pick is in. The Rams pick is in. So we should hear from the commissioner coming up here momentarily. That will put us at 20. At pick 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Miami Dolphins, the Philadelphia Eagles, Jacksonville Jaguars, Dallas Cowboys, and then your Green Bay Packers, which we said earlier today is probably going to come up in the 10 o'clock hour, maybe just a little after 10. Hopefully, it does not come up at the top of the hour because we don't want to miss it. So for all of you network stations, I just want to let you know. But we're going to hang here as much as we can. So, but the guy that a lot of people were talking about right now is Cooper DeJean as a secondary guy. He is still on the board. When you look at Quinyon Mitchell, the kid out of Toledo, the corner out of Toledo, he is still on the board. Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama, he is still on the board. Fatano, The big offensive guard out of Washington, he's still there. Florida State's edge rusher, Jared Verse is still there. I keep talking about this kid out of Duke, Graham Barton. He's still there as well. But the guy that we kind of circled and said, maybe if he's still there, the Packers might grab him because he can play both safety and corner, and he can be a punt returner. Cooper DeJean, he is still sitting there as well. So, and don't forget, we got Kool-Aid McKinstry, who we talked about, and Tyler Guyton, the big offensive tackle out of Oklahoma, is still sitting there as well.
I will take their favorite corner, considering the Bears have Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. The Vikings have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and the Lions have Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who they just, I just think you need the counter, right? It's an arms race. I think you need bodies on the back end. So I'm kind of hoping for a corner at this point.
You're kind of hoping that, well, let's see here. Is the commissioner coming to the podium? I believe he is. He has emerged. He has the pick in his hand. So we're going to go back to the podium as the commish, Roger Goodell, announces the pick for the LA Rams, number 19 overall.
2024 NFL Draft. The Los Angeles Rams select Jared Verse, defensive end, Florida State.
There you go. They needed some help. We talked about Aaron Donald retiring, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for them to go in that direction. And damned if they didn't. The defensive lineman, the outside rusher, the retirement of Aaron Donald leaves a huge gap in that front, and that's the direction that they want. That puts the Pittsburgh Steelers now squarely on the clock. And the Steelers, the quarterback room, man, they got a big transformation. They picked up Russell Wilson. They picked up Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. They're gone. So out. So the primary goal of this draft for Pittsburgh, who they believe they've got a good defense and they just need a couple of weapons and they're on the way, should be improving the offensive line in support of either guy. Because we saw Russell Wilson, who was constantly under siege in Denver. We saw Justin Fields, who was under siege in Chicago, and he likes to take off and run. Doesn't matter. So look for the Steelers to add a left tackle to compete with Dan Moore, along with maybe a new starting center to replace Mason Cole. They waived him, remember, and plus depth at guard. Now, if you want to go in that direction, this is what we were talking about. Okay, so this is where it gets intriguing if you're the Green Bay Packers fan. Because if you want to go to a guy that can play it all, again, Graham Barton is sitting there. He would be the guy, okay? He's sitting there right now. They've got a pretty good defense right now. They don't have to go defense if they don't want to. They can find some other corners as they continue to fall. But if you want to go to the offensive side of things, Tyler Guyton, the big tackle out of Oklahoma, sitting right there. He's also sitting right there. So you've got a center / guard / tackle in Graham Barton, who can do it all if you want to bolster the line. Or you go Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma, and that dude's a big cat too. He would also be a guy that would anchor your offensive line. Both guys I like. Again, never really got convinced of the kid out of Duke completely, Graham Barton, until we had Ross Tucker on. When Ross Tucker came on and started talking about him and talking about the things that he saw on film, beating other offensive players and defensive backs down the field on a 90-yard touchdown run and having that wherewithal to do it, be with his team, that type of character, a football guy, Graham Barton out of Duke might be the play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who need kind of depth at every position, and he can play almost every position. So we'll see if they go in that direction. But the Pittsburgh Steelers squarely on the clock. And what does that mean? That once they make that choice, we're still sitting there with a lot of defensive back help for the Green Bay Packers. Quinyon Mitchell, still on the board out of Toledo. Terrion Arnold, who I never thought would be down here at this point, the cornerback out of Alabama. You've got the edge rusher out of Florida State. Jared Verse, I think, actually, he just went. So I apologize. I didn't take him out of my notes. So that would leave you with Cooper DeJean still sitting there. You could, God forbid, you want to go with that big defensive tackle and add depth, maybe because Kenny Clark could possibly depart after the season. You can add depth on that defensive front. If you're Hafley, maybe that's the direction you want to go. I can't imagine it, but you could either go with an edge rusher and Chop Robinson, or you could go with the kid Newton out of Illinois, who is still sitting there as well. If you get really daring, maybe you get Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU, good wheels. Maybe if you don't get Christian Watson back, you're hedging your bets in that direction. So you still have Nate Wiggins, the cornerback out of Clemson, Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback out of Alabama. Cornerbacks aplenty. You're going to have a choice at cornerback by the time the Green Bay Packers choose coming up at number 25. And the board fell for the Chicago Bears. It fell for the Minnesota Vikings, and it looks like it's going to fall for the Green Bay Packers too. So there you go. And the pick for the Steelers is in, and my assumption is as soon as they come back from the network break, then the commissioner is going to make the choice, and we will hear that. And then once he makes the choice, we'll take our break, and we'll come back with our continued coverage. But we will then only be, 4 picks away from actually putting the Green Bay Packers on the clock. So really, really, really good stuff. Great stuff today. What else do we have here for you? Because any news or notes that we need to be paying attention to, Grant?
Nothing great. You're doing. I'm not gonna lie, Bill. I'm sitting back here. I'm a little in awe of you of how you're still going at 9:30 at night. No, you got everything. You haven't missed anything yet.
So let's see here real quick. Troy Fautanu is going to the Steelers. It looks like, and that is coming out early. I saw Charles Robinson put that out just a moment ago, and again, they need offensive line help. That's kind of what we were talking about. He's the big offensive guard out of Washington, and 6'4", 317. Dude's thick as a guard. And that would also, because we talked about it, they need line help. I thought they might go for Graham Barton. Big dude, 6'5", 313. Instead, they're going to go 6'4", 317. Troy Fautanu out of Washington is going to be the pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We knew they were going to go up with offensive line. You had to bolster that. You had to make sure that you protected the 2 guys that you just brought into the fold. And you're not paying much money for either, to be perfectly honest with you. So you want to build it up. You want to make sure their protection's good. And that, therefore, you can let both Russell Wilson and presumably Justin Fields, if there's any kind of a competition for the quarterback position. Now, we know what's been said by Mike Tomlin. He said, look, Russell Wilson's coming in here. He's got the chops. He's our guy. Until he's not. It's his job to lose. But that doesn't mean that Justin Fields won't get an opportunity. So they want to bolster the interior line. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. Troy Fautanu is going to be going to the Pittsburgh Steelers in that storied franchise. And he's a tenacious drive blocker. You can run behind him too. Short yardage situations, either guy. It would not be a bad way to go. But they've got 2 quarterbacks that can both run, 2 quarterbacks that like to throw on the run, 2 quarterbacks that's like to scramble, but also 2 quarterbacks that under pressure turn the ball over. So Troy Fautanu looks to be, as soon as we see the commissioner coming to the podium, he looks to be the pick for the Green Bay Packers. At least that's what Twitter is telling us, that X is telling us to this point. Hey, by the way, I got to give a shout out to everybody that's watching the program. Doesn't matter where you're from. Man, we got a lot of people on the stream tonight. Great stuff to all of you, man. We're crushing it. This is like the Green Bay Packers losing by 1 touchdown on a Sunday, man, when we're doing the post-game show. Woo, great stuff. That kind of a crowd we're getting on the stream tonight. So perfect. So thanks so much for paying attention to the program. We are going to go back to the podium here in just a second as I see the commissioner making his way to the middle of the stage, and here he is.
32 young men will embark on their NFL career striving to make an impact on the field. But their impacts will be felt far beyond their field, but in their communities. No one embodied that more than Walter Payton. And today, the league's highest honor, the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizes his lasting legacy. Tonight, we are proud to welcome the 2023 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year winner, Cam Hayward.
He's making that pick.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Commissioner. And most importantly, I want to say thank you to the Payton family, the NFL, and Nationwide. The NFL draft is special. To my fellow NFL players and the prospects joining the league this week, I want to challenge you. Use your platform to brighten someone's day. The opportunity before you is a gift. And by coming here and being in this league, seize that moment. be better in our communities, be better for our league and our world. Thank you so much.
There you go. Cam Hayward, Pittsburgh Steeler, Walter Payton Man of the Year honoree. He's making the pick. Here we go.
And with the 20th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Troy Fautanu, tackle, Washington.
Troy Fautanu, the tackle out of Washington, is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, and you know what that means. 21 on the board. The Miami Dolphins are now on the clock. An emotional moment. Troy Fautanu has been sitting there with his family. I don't know if that's his parents or grandparents, but from Hawaii, decorated in the leis like we've seen a couple of times tonight. A family spread like a banquet maybe. A lot of friends and family around at tables, maybe 6-person tables, something like that. And you can see him getting the call and just breaking down in tears. Troy Fautanu is now going to be a guard, a tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I would assume they can play him at left tackle. That's what he played when they projected him. By the way, at Washington, he played left tackle. They projected him to be a guard, but that dude's a big dude, man. He's a big cat, as we know. So 6'4", 317. That's a big cat over there at your left tackle position, if indeed that's the direction he goes. But the fact that he's versatile enough to be a guard too. So there you have it. So the question I had off of the text line, for those of you that are texting, and by the way, the text line has been burning up tonight. The 608-321-1670. Thanks to everybody that's hitting us up. Eric on I-90, I see you. Are we working? Hell yeah, we're working. You better believe it, Eric. Kyle from Green Bay says, are you happy with the way the draft is falling right now for the Green Bay Packers? I am. Look, you still got some guys that we were kind of coveting that are sitting on the board, okay? Still some of those guys that are sitting there. And when we started talking about the value of some of these particular players at this point in time, you look at the value of these guys, you still got, let's say, Chop Robinson, the edge rusher, still sitting out there. Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, the cornerback, still sitting out there. He's one of the better players. You got the corner, Terrion Arnold from Alabama. Think about how many corners are there right now. Cooper DeJean is there. Nate Wiggins is there. Terrion Arnold is there. They're all sitting there. And that doesn't even include Quinyon Mitchell. You got 4 or 5 corners that were all considered to be first-round draft choices. So now, when it comes to the corner position, if that's the direction you want to go, a guy that can play corner/safety, you got your pick of the litter at the Dolphins, pick us in. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get the Dolphins pick. But think about that. Think about how this board is falling. It could be a defensive back for the Green Bay Packers, or depending on how much you like them, you also have the big offensive tackle, Tyler Guyton, is still sitting there as well. Don't go anywhere. We're creeping up on the Green Bay Packers like a bad pair of underwear at this point. More of the NFL Draft of 2024's coverage right here on the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be right back.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Jordan Love, we got some help for you.
Oh, boy.
With the 50th pick
It's tipping
in the
picks.
2023 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers, the best franchise, by the way, in my opinion, select Jayden Reed, wide receiver, Michigan State. We always get good receivers in the second round.
Yeah, the great Leroy Butler. And Jayden Reed's turned out to be a real deal, hasn't he? Hasn't he? Yeah. When we were gone, the Dolphins chose Chop Robinson, the edge rusher out of Penn State, and his tape is really better than even his productivity was. I mean, he's fast hands, upside as a pass rusher. They talk about explosiveness, and by that they mean that first step, pumping the arms and such. He's a man. And he can also win with his speed off of the edge. So very difficult to defend one-on-one. But Chop Robinson is going to the Miami Dolphins. So there you go. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock. Fly, Eagles, fly, or cry, Eagles, cry, depending on the season itself. But we're still waiting. The Eagles, with just over 2 minutes to go before they have to make their pick, who knows? Maybe they might be fielding calls because you've got a couple of different players that have come off the board. So depending on what you're looking for, maybe you're trying to move around a little bit. A lot of corners. The Green Bay Packers are going to have their choice, man. They're going to have Quinyon Mitchell still on the board. Terrion Arnold. I thought Terrion Arnold would go in top 15. He's still on the board. Cooper DeJean, still on the board. Still on the board right now. Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, still on the board. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the guy with the best first name in this draft. Kool-Aid McKinstry, he's still on the board. You do have Brian Thomas Jr. if you want to go in the direction of, say, a wideout. They still have Graham Barton, the center / guard / tackle out of Duke. That's kind of a Packers guy. It wouldn't surprise me if they went in that direction. So those guys are still sitting there, depending on what happens from here on out. You still got Quinyon Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo, one of the last remaining guys in the green room, if you will, still sitting back there all by his lonesome. Maybe he's warming the former seat that was held by one Aaron Rodgers as he continued to fall in the draft. But he's one of the better guys that's out there right now. And then the wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., is also considered to be Terrion Arnold, the cornerback out of Alabama. He's wearing a pink suit tonight, by the way. He's still backstage. But Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver who I talked about out of LSU, he's still hanging out there. Now, when you think about this, in Philadelphia, the Eagles, their pick is in. So we should hear from them momentarily, depending on who they need. They need corner help. This is where one of the corners, I bet you it leaves the board. General Manager Howie Roseman, he needs to improve the secondary. They have got to take a cornerback right here. And you get the sense Quinyon Mitchell's probably going to be the guy, unless they shock us and go with Terrion Arnold. Now, remember, if he doesn't like the smaller schools, and Toledo's a smaller school, then he could go in that direction. You know, he could end up going with Terrion Arnold. If he just looks and says, hey, I'm going to take best available, best movement guy, the whole thing, coverage, guy that just showed up on tape that has all the analytics, that's going to be Quinyon Mitchell. So now we'll wait and see. But they also could take Cooper DeJean before it's all said and done, a guy that is not only a defensive back, but also a kick returner as well. Who in the hell is the guy behind? Did you see that, Grant? Are you watching the coverage?
I haven't been watching ESPN because it's so delayed on my screen compared to what I hear from you. What did I miss?
They were showing the crowd, and there's this guy that's dressed as this football player of the Eagles with a silver face and a green face, half and half, and a kid behind him trying to put his tongue in his ear. Some of the sights you see.
Just a standard Thursday night in Philadelphia. Sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry. It might have been Ben Kenny. I never thought of that. Could have been Ben trying to do a little inside coverage for the whip in Philly. Who knows? So could have been our own former Ben Kenny, kind of doing his impersonation of I don't know, a creeper, for lack of a better term. So let's see here. So we should be getting the commissioner coming to the podium any second now, but it's I'm just trying to see here. The commissioner's walking out of the tunnel. He'll be here in just a second. So they've got a couple of minutes before they actually go down to the stage and get to the commissioner. And I know people are saying that your voice is getting raspy. I know. I got water here. I had a couple of other beverages here as well. No beer, by the way, but nevertheless, I'm just trying to keep lubricated. So here comes the commissioner. I saw him walking out of the tunnel before, and here he now finally makes the exit from the tunnel. But the commissioner going to make the announcement for a happy, joyous, loving Eagles fan base. Fly, Eagles, fly.
This past year, we played games in front of amazing crowds in London and Germany.
Here we go.
This upcoming season, we will play our first ever game in South America, in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And we will be coming to more markets on a global basis soon.
Oh, crap.
The NFL's International Player Pathway Program helps foreign-born players reach the NFL. Elite international athletes have an opportunity to compete at the NFL level and potentially earn a spot on our NFL roster. One of the most successful players from the program is the Philadelphia Eagles, Jayden Daniels. Jordan is currently in his native Australia for the opening of a new NFL academy for high school football players. To make the Eagles selection, let's join Jordan live from the Eagles draft party in Burleigh Beach, Gold Coast, Australia. Take it, Jordan.
Let's go. How good is this? Thank you, Uncle Roger. Good evening to those of you from the beautiful land down under.
Uncle Roger?
With the 22nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Quinyon Mitchell.
There you go.
Defensive back, Toledo.
There you go. Quinyon Mitchell finally comes off the board. He is the 6 foot, 195-pound corner with 4.3 speed out of Toledo, Ohio. And he is now a Philadelphia Eagle. We just got done talking about it. They needed a guy like that there. Howie Roseman had been looking to bolster that secondary. We knew that was the direction that they were going to go because last year defensively, they faltered. They faltered down the stretch, so that's where the direction they went. That means we are now just 2 picks away from the Green Bay Packers being on the clock. The Jacksonville Jaguars are now on the clock. Jacksonville spent money, too. They spent money at cornerback. They spent money at the defensive tackle position, picking up Armstead in free agency. Still looking for contributors, though. They still need some defense. So corner, defensive line, and I'll tell you this, it wouldn't hurt if they ended up picking up an offensive lineman as well. Because they could, with Trevor Lawrence, man, there were times last year, especially when he got hurt down the stretch, he wasn't getting a lot of protection. He was running around. He was such a gutsy player running around on that bad ankle late in the season, and especially heading into the postseason. And he still played. He gutted it out. He's one tough kid, but he needed some help up front. So I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility if they go in that direction. But you got the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they are now on the clock. 4.5 minutes to go before Jacksonville makes their pick. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We are closing in on the Green Bay Packers, and I hope to God the Packers don't pick at the top of the hour. We don't want to miss that. So the Packers will be on the clock in just a few. 2 picks to go. So stay right where you're at. We got more coming up after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute.
Welcome back to the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We are killing it. The pick is in for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is our coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft. To everybody on the line, to everybody on the stream, to everybody on X, on YouTube that's paying attention to us and hitting us up over in the text line, which is 608-321-1670. You're killing it tonight. You're all right here. And thanks for all the compliments. We certainly appreciate it. And we got the commissioner with the Jacksonville Jaguars pick coming to the podium.
With the 23rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU.
There you go. They pick up another. Now, that's a little surprising because their needs weren't that, but I'll give them credit because they stuck to their board. They looked at the value. The value on the board said that he was the guy. He should have gone higher than where he just went. So very interesting stuff. And when you see somebody stick to their board, that's impressive. And because they had other needs, they had a lot of different guys there they could have taken. But they ended up going in that direction. So he comes off the board, the wide receiver, which gives Trevor Lawrence another weapon to throw to. But now Jerry, his triple option, his brisket pajama parties, they're all on the clock. The Dallas Cowboys, they have done nothing this offseason. Veterans are not going to return in 2024. No Tyron Smith, he's gone. Tony Pollard, he's gone. Although Tony Pollard, not that great. Tyler Biadasz, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Pollard.
Biadasz.
I was screwing it up and I knew it, and I'm like, son of a
No, you're good. We have a literal encyclopedia of players' names. You can't get them all right.
And we've had so many Hawaiian players tonight too. I'm surprised I got most of those guys right. Jonathan Hankins, he's gone. Linebacker Van Der Esch, gone. Receiver Michael Gallup, gone. Draft picks for all those positions. They need put it this way. If they're not, and the quarterbacks are gone, so you're not going to go for a quarterback. If you're not going to get a quarterback, you could go D-line. The wide receiver, if Thomas Jr. was there, I probably would have said, hey, Jerry probably would have taken him. But right now I can see the battle going on. Jerry's got his phone up, and they're like, Jerry, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? I'm going to order. I got run triple option. And then finally his son just reaches over and snatches the phone out of his hand and finds out that he's ordering carry out and maybe some items from Walmart. And he's going to say, no, we need an offensive lineman. So we'll see who they go with, because that was the one area Dak Prescott got a little bit beat up last year. So if they can solidify the offensive line like they did years ago when they chose Zach Martin. Now, remember, Jerry wanted Johnny Manziel. That was Jerry's pick. Okay, Mr. Brisket and Johnny Manziel. He was going to get Johnny Manziel. And his son kind of, whatever the hell happened, tackled him at the last moment, wrestled him to the ground, slapped him across his face, said, you crazy old man, no way. And they took Zach Martin, and their offensive line has been decent. Not great, but decent since. If they can find another good offensive lineman, that might be the direction that they go. So we'll see. We'll see. But you got some, you still, again, Barton, the kid out of Duke, probably one of the top 2 or 3 guys that are still on the board. Look at Jerry. They just went to the war room in Dallas. Jerry and his son Steve are sitting there. There's Mike McCarthy sitting off to the side. Like at any point in time, they could paint him orange and carve him up and put him on their front porch. Just crazy over there. They haven't like high-fived anything. Mike looks a little nervous too, like, oh God, Jerry, I don't know what you're doing over here, but why did you take another cheerleader? We don't need them, holy mackerel. So anyway, as we creep up on the top of the hour, it looks like we're going to make it through the top of the hour. Cowboys have 2.5 minutes yet to go before they have to make their pick. Their pick is not in yet. Then they'll make the announcement. We'll go to the top of the hour break, and then we should be able to come back and get at the top of the next hour. The Green Bay Packers will be on the clock, and we will carry the Green Bay Packers draft choice live. It looks like timing-wise it's going to work out for us, so which is great. So the Cowboys are either going to go for Graham Barton, the jack of all trades. Do you got any information yet, by any chance, Grant?
Nothing about any of the upcoming picks. No Cowboys, no Packers stuff that I'm seeing yet.
So, and then they could also go towards Tyler Guyton, the big offensive tackle out of Alabama. So here, or Oklahoma, I should say, pardon me. So here's my question. You are going to have Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama. Cooper DeJean, the corner, out of Iowa. You're going to have Nate Wiggins, the corner, out of Clemson. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner, out of Alabama. You're going to have him sitting there. You're still going to have Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver out of Texas. You're going to have Tyler Guyton, the big offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Out of that group, who do you want to see the Packers take? Who do you put it this way? Do it this way. Hit me up over in the live stream. You make your picks. Hit us up on the live stream. Also, you can text us 608-321-1670. And if you text us, let me know your name and where you're from, because all we get is the numbers. That's it. So we're getting close. We're getting close to the Green Bay Packers in that pick. Excited for it. But it's like, guys, girls listening, it's like the draft board fell to Goody. All the people we've been talking about who possibly could be, might be, should be, hopefully will be, are all sitting there for Brian Gutekunst right now, maybe minus one of them, depending on what Jerry Jones decides to do. But they're all right there. They're all right there. Wayne says trade down. Only if you have a trade partner that's willing to give you some stuff. You go down one or two spaces, you can still get the quality. I agree with you. But it only depends on if somebody's right there going, got to move up. If you got somebody that desperately needs an offensive tackle or desperately needs a center/guard or, one of the speedsters. So when we come back, don't go anywhere. We got another hour yet to go. Don't go anywhere. The Green Bay Packers are only about 26 seconds and a pick away from being on the clock. Keep it right here. Thank you very much, Nelson, James, Kristen, everybody that says this is the best draft coverage in the state of Wisconsin. We're kicking the hell out of people. We're not even on in every market. So stay right where you're at. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot more. It's the 2024 NFL Draft, and we're kicking it right here with you coming up next.
Beautify your entertainment space with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Turn your ordinary space into something extraordinary with brand new Pella windows. The luxurious look, sleek design, and custom colors available is guaranteed to give your home the extra pop to entertain and keep you comfortable. At Pella, we see windows differently. We have the highest rated energy efficient products and a complete range of durable, functional, and high quality products that bring out the best of your home. Plus, getting the perfect windows and doors for your home has never been easier. Right now, get 0% interest for up to 36 months. Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months if you book before April 30th. That's right, get 0% interest for up to 36 months, or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. If you book before April 30th, take ownership of your living space and make it a place worth living with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual is the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin for a good reason. As a company founded by farmers, they understand the ag industry and its challenges. Local agents offer farm families the best advice and personalized coverage. Visit ruralmutual.com to find an agent near you.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Suit up for the $800,000 Sports Car Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. April through May, score free play, cash, one of 4 new Toyota GR86s or a new Toyota Supra. Play with your club card to earn entries, 5 times the entries on drawing days, and when the Milwaukee Brewers play at home. Got what it takes, Slugger? Only at Potawatomi. For more details, visit paysbig.com/sportscar. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Jordan Love, we got some help for you.
Oh, boy.
So it sounds like you're ready. Are you ready? The NFL Draft is officially open.
It's just an exciting time, probably for all 32 teams, but certainly for us.
The Green Bay Packers select
The Iowa corner, Cooper DeJean, Chop Robinson.
Jordan Morgan is a heck of a player.
It's the Bill Michaels Draft Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bring it. The pick is in. But it is not the Dallas Cowboys. It's not the Cowboys. The Lions have jumped the Green Bay Packers. And I guess there's somebody they covet that maybe they don't want Green Bay to get, which means every team in the NFC North will have already chosen by the time the Green Bay Packers go on the clock, because the Lions pick is in. Detroit going to try to do something to stick it to Green Bay in some way, shape, or form, albeit they could have been just jumping up because, well, they might have needed to get ahead of Green Bay, but they might have needed to jump up, say, from 27 to get ahead of, say, the Buccaneers. We'll see. Or may get ahead of the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see. But nevertheless, the commissioner going through the rigmarole of some of the youngsters at the podium. And by the way, the Cowboys trading with the Lions trade back to 29th. So the commissioner talking about the flag football, I would assume like MVPs at this point. But nevertheless, so let's go to the podium. The commissioner introducing the flag football players and superstars, I would assume.
Congratulations on your accomplishments in your academic and football careers. Now to make the selection, please welcome Ellie Fagley.
The Lions are on the clock, remember.
The Dallas Cowboys have traded the 24th pick to the Detroit Lions. With the 24th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Terrion Arnold, defensive back, Alabama.
Go! There you go. They needed that. They needed secondary help. We all know that. And they probably got a whiff that the Packers needed some corner help as well. They knew the Packers were seeking corner help. And Terrion Arnold now comes off the board. Now, Grant, here we go. The Green Bay Packers are on the clock. Do you take Cooper DeJean out of Iowa? Do you stick with an offensive lineman? Go Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. Do you go Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner out of Alabama? Do you go Graham Barton, the very versatile offensive lineman? What direction you going?
Cooper DeJean, instantly. And then I'm going to crack a spotting count and go to bed, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. That's
we got to finish the damn show. We go.
No. I'm saying if I was Goody.
Oh, okay.
No, not me. Lord, no. Goody should. This is easy.
Okay.
Just take the corner.
Let's do this. First and foremost, let's remind people that we are all over the place. Grant's in the studio. I'm in the studio. And then you've got Mike Clemens buried right now down beneath the war room with a listening device pressed firmly against the floor, listening to everything that Goody does and says. And he will give us the latest. And also, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to it in time, but Brian Gutekunst will speak tonight to the media. If we have time, we'll try to carry some of it. If we don't, we know we're going to get it to you tomorrow on the program faux show. And by the way, whoever they do choose, I think is going to be on the line tonight as well. And again, if we get to it and we can carry it, we will. If we can't, then we will get to you with that tomorrow as well. But the next best player on the board, according to many right now, it is a tie between the versatile 6'5", 313-pound offensive lineman from Duke, Graham Barton, and the versatile safety, corner/safety/punt returner, Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Both of those guys. And when you're talking about a corner, 6'1", 203 pounds, good speed, not burning speed, but good speed. He can be he's had a punt return for a touchdown. They like his length, like his hands. He can smother receivers underneath, recover when he gets caught out of position. That's the other thing. He's got enough. Some guys have just flat out speed. Other guys have what they call recovery speed. And he's got recovery speed. So we used to see Sam Shields do that. Now, he just had flat-out burner speed, but Sam would almost bait you into a throw and be 10 yards off the receiver, and before you know it, he was picking a ball off or at least knocking it down. So Cooper DeJean, or you've got Graham Barton at this point. Do you think the Packers take someone else besides those two? Do you think they take someone else besides those two?
Do you want me to answer? Because now I know the answer. I've been watching Twitter. I know who it is.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to spoil it. Don't we want to listen to it on? Don't we want to hear it from Rodgers' mouth?
No. Go ahead.
It's Morgan, the guard or the tackle. I think it's the guard. It's the guard from Arizona.
Really?
Yeah. Jordan Morgan. No, it's tackle. I don't know why I had guard.
Jordan Morgan.
Such a Packers pick. Damn it.
Holy crap. Now I got to go to my book. He was not in my first round notes at all. At all.
So for clarification, I first said guard and then said tackle. He's done both. So It depends on who's listed him and who's tweeting out the information. He's done both.
Well, he's that kind of a guy. They like versatility, but
yeah, it fits their MO. Dude, you can play multiple positions for sure.
Wow. So the Green Bay Packers have chosen a guard/tackle out of Arizona. I'm trying to find him. Hold on a second. So I'm going through all the tackles that are listed in my book. So I did not even have him listed in my first round choice.
And he might be listed as a guard too. I wasn't looking at him in the draft guide. I was reading about him in the Athletic earlier today, but I don't know where he is in the guide that we have.
Yeah. He's got to be listed as a guard. God, this is terrible. I'm trying to find him.
All Packers fans are doing the same thing as us right now. So this is, if nothing else, it's relatable.
Yeah. This is crazy. I hate to do this on the air because this is terrible to pick. There it is, Jordan Morgan. They've got him listed as a guard. They've got him listed as, you've got Graham Barton listed number 1, Christian Haynes out of Connecticut number 2, Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State number 3, Jordan Morgan listed in, now this is going with our lads. Okay, remember. Listed with our lads. He is a late second, early third round pick. I'm kind of surprised. So the announcement's been made. The pick definitely in for the Green Bay Packers. I hate to be anticlimactic, but wow. So who's saying that? Cooper DeJean?
Who's reporting the Morgan pick?
Yeah.
It was Albert Breer and then a couple of others had it. Plugged in people.
Okay, so I gotta turn on a dime here because this I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna lie to you. This kid was not in my notes for a first round pick. He is projected late second, early third round pick, and I cannot believe that they could not have gotten him in this. Now, granted, again, we got to sit here and say Brian Gutekunst has had some really good picks. He's done some good homework. But I hope to God this isn't one of those Ted Thompson picks that I'm going to outsmart everybody and find this guy. But I don't understand the value in this pick. I really don't. If indeed that's, which we would assume it's true because we're getting a lot of this information. Nothing's been wrong. Here's the commissioner coming to the podium to make the pick for the Green Bay Packers.
With the 25th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers and hosts for the 2025 NFL Draft select Jordan Morgan, tackle, Arizona.
I think the face on Packers fans in the crowd says it all. Like, who? Who? Jordan Morgan, the three. I got to do this. Okay. 3-year starter, earned a first-team All Pac-12 in 2023 and in 2022. So first-year starter or 3-year starter, first-team All Pac-12. Career left tackle. This is the guy. They're trying to find a left tackle. He's played nothing but left tackle his entire life. He never played another position in college. He's got length. It says his length limitations and pass protection issues could lead to a transition play as a guard at the next level. Either way, nicely built guy, athletic blocker, checks a lot of the boxes when you're looking for maybe the tools to develop. But he's a tap dancer when it comes to footwork, fast hands. He understands how to use a natural knee bender. He can play the squatty lower left half. He can play the flat back, comfort moving at a fast rate of speed. He's coming off, by the way, a torn ACL, suffered in November of 2022, which is an encouraging sign of what's to come because he got better in 2023. Quick jab to the chest plate with the eyes up, good body control, can mirror when engaged, easy lateral transitions, will slay the square and avoids oversetting himself from the waist, needs to keep his feet more active against speed rushers, does not create enough push in the run game, and is anchor against the bull rush, not NFL ready just yet. Would like to see a better recovery tactic as well. Needs to show more consistency with replacing his hands, and lack of length shows up against NFL caliber rushers. That is your first round pick for the now look, I'm sitting here right now. This is not on my radar. I'm not an expert, but I had about 30, maybe more than, I probably had about 45 picks deep, just in case. Okay. You go down to the second round, you get somebody about 45 picks deep. And he was not even on my radar. Not even on my radar. And they had it in our lads as a late second, early third round pick at best. At best. So out of all the quality players that every team has gotten that has been on my board, okay, and I'm not saying I'm anywhere near as smart. Hell, Brian Gutekunst has forgotten more football than I've ever known. But, man, he's a college left tackle. Most people, if you read him, I'm reading the ESPN analysis, I'm reading the NFL Network analysis, believe that he's going to move inside and be a guard. His experience at tackle plus his agility and movement had NFL teams thinking that he could play any of the 5 offensive positions if he chose. But that's the kind of guy the Packers like. But the kid out of Duke, I thought would be a much, much, much better fit. I thought they'd go in an offensive line direction because they know there's some depth issues there. And I'm assuming they believe that they're going to get a corner early on. They might make a move in the second round of the draft to move up and get one of these corners. So maybe they coveted this guy. But that, I have to admit, that's a bit of a shocker.
Just for reference, to try to add some context to this, his relative athletic score is about as high as one can be. His 40 was ridiculous. His 20 and 10-yard splits were wild. His broad jump was huge. His bench was massive. He's a little shorter, but they probably, just based on what you've said, I would imagine they'll bring him in as a rotational lineman, maybe play some guard, but he is athletic as you will find, which tracks with how the Packers do things.
What the Packers do. I guess they feel that they can build him up, you know. Steve says moves his feet well and all that kind of stuff. Second level, good technician. That's not what I'm reading necessarily out of our lads. If you go to the second half where they talk about, I always want to read the shortcomings. When they talk about the ACL coming out of November 2022, getting back in it and worked his ass off, by the way, to get back last year and still be a first-team starter in Pac-12. But I went through the whole thing. He can do a lot of stuff, a lot of backup spots. He is 6'5", 311. Ran a 5.5 in the 40 time. He ran a 5.04, which is fast for an offensive lineman, especially a guy that was playing tackle with coming off of a bad wheel. But the arm length, 32.78. Wingspan, 81.38, which, by the way, as a wingspan, that's big. That's long arms, man. 10.78 inches across the hand. So, man, that's... You know, they picked a guy that nobody was really ranking that high, and he turned out to be a hell of a player when they went to Bethune-Cookman. And Ted Thompson picked up Nick Collins. Nobody was high on a kid that came out of Kansas State named Jordy Nelson. They picked him. So they've hit. You look at a guy like Donald Driver when he was chosen in the 7th round. And I remember Ron Wolf walking over to him saying, dude, if you make this team, you're going to make my draft. And he ends up becoming a Packer Hall of Famer and the all-time Packer receiver. So there you go. There you go.
I know our lads doesn't have him high. I was just looking at Dane Brugler, who's the number 1 draft guy at the Athletic. He had him going 31st to the Niners with the idea of, well, they already have Trent Williams, but he's getting older. Take this really athletic guy who can develop in the meantime and maybe play some guard in the meantime. So I think this has been a guy who's been mentioned as a first-round pick. It's not like it's completely out of left field. Of course, it depends on which resource you look at.
Yeah, it depends on what you're looking at. Yeah,
of course.
Doubt. So, but I'm still... Now, where did he have Graham Barton slotted?
Let me look. He, of course, had Cooper DeJean mocked to the Packers. Let me see where he had Graham
Now,
Barton.
let's do this because the commissioners coming to the stage. Here's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who are on the clock. Their pick is in. Let's go to the podium and the commissioner.
2024 NFL Draft. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Graham Barton, center, Duke.
Graham Barton now comes off the board. Another guy that was highly rated.
Dane Brugler had Graham Barton at 20th, Tyler Guyton at 24th. So in the same neighborhood, right? It's not completely a shock where any of these guys have gone for the most part.
Yeah. An interesting pick. I just hope this isn't one of those picks where you're trying to outsmart everybody else and be the smartest person in the room. But again, now where I go with this, and let me say this because this is the only curveball so far in the first round of the draft. Okay? The only curveball. Goody's had the last 2 years has had some pretty good picks. So I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Brian Gutekunst or anything like that because what he's done and the way he's been able to kind of put it all together since starting out rather slow has been good. Remember, Lucas Van Ness, Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Colby Wooden, all last year in rounds 1 through 4. The year before that, Quay Walker, starter. Devontae Wyatt, starter. Christian Watson, banged up. Sean Ryan, after a year off, has come back. He's a starter. He did pretty well there. Eric Stokes, tremendous his rookie season. Problem is he got banged up. Josh Myers, those 2 guys went top in 2021. So, and TJ Slayton was a late round pick. He was 5th round, and he's really come on and looked really good and anchored the defensive front with Kenny Clark. So I'm not going to throw this one and go with my hands in the air and go, oh my God, what the hell are you doing? I'll just say all the eyebrows are raised on this because not a lot of people had this as, by the way, the Cardinals, here we go. They're fast and furious now. Here's the commissioner.
With the 27th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Darius Robinson, defensive tackle, Missouri.
There you go. Darius Robinson now comes off the board, the big defensive tackle out of Missouri playing in the SEC. So there you go. Yeah, I know. James says, well, remember, we could have had TJ Watt and they didn't choose him either. And Nick, you bring up a good point over on the live stream. Nick says maybe they're going to jump up and make another trade, use one of those later round guys or one of those other ones to package a deal up and then move up. You still have, again, as we sit here now, and that, by the way, puts the Buffalo Bills at 28 on the clock. So as we're rolling through this, the Buffalo Bills are now on the clock. But you still have, when you look at the quality of what you have there right now, Cooper DeJean still on the board. You still got a lot of these corners. Nate Wiggins on the board. Kool-Aid McKinstry still on the board. You got a good grouping of wide receivers. The kid Leggett out of South Carolina on the board. You still got Newton, the big defensive tackle out of Illinois. He's still on the board. Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver. Ladd McConkey, the wide receiver from Georgia, all on the board. Tyler Guyton still on the board. If you wanted to go with another tackle, which I don't think they will, but I'm saying that a lot of these guys we looked at still on the board. Ennis Rakestraw Jr., a corner out of Missouri, still on the board. So he, and then you could go to Edrin Cooper out of Texas A&M. He's a linebacker. And that was a guy that many thought might be a first-round pick if the Packers decided to go strictly linebacker. He would have been a guy that maybe they dropped down a little bit to get. They're still on the board. And maybe that's – and this is one of the things I want to explain real quick. By the way, are we late for a break? Do we need to take a break, Grant?
We got to get a 3-minute break in at some point, but we're not beholden to anyone. Go ahead.
Let's do this. So we'll take a break here in a second. But remember this. All those players are dropping. Goody still has the ability to jump up and get one of those players. So he could have been looking at it as, this is a guy that's versatile that we want. The rest of this board is falling to us. We could still do a deal, maybe jump up into the top of the second round and get one of these guys. Get one of these first-round guys that have fallen out of favor, get them for a second-round price, get the value for that pick, although it still doesn't explain the value for the pick that they took, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, that could be the thinking, that since so many of these defensive guys are falling, maybe they turn back around and they jump up and they go get a guy that they really covet. Stay tuned. We're going to continue our draft coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft. We continue on until 11 o'clock Central Time tonight. Stay right where you're at.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. It is our coverage of the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. And wait a minute. We have had a trade. Went down while we were out. The Kansas City Chiefs have traded with the two teams that continually run into each other, and the Chiefs get the best of them, have traded with the Buffalo Bills. They jumped up ahead of the Cowboys. The Chiefs pick is in. We'll bring you that pick. But many of us still somewhat, anyway, scratching our head a little bit after the Green Bay Packers chose the guard/tackle, who has basically played tackle his entire career, but the tackle who most seem to think that he's going to transfer to a guard position, Jordan Morgan, out of Arizona. Jordan Morgan, 37 games at left tackle. That's the only place he played. And he's been a left tackle. They talk that he's going to make the expected move to the inside once he gets, acclimated in Green Bay. The Packers probably going to shuffle the line a little bit. Zach Tom potentially moving to center in the future. And that's where Morgan's versatility kind of comes into play. He's experienced at tackle, plus the agility and movement. Had a lot of NFL teams thinking he could play any of the 5 offensive line positions. Packers, as we know, they love the versatility. They love guys moving all over the place. And he's got a ton of versatility. So some of the overvalue, they say it was a slight reach by the Packers. Not unusual for tackles to get drafted earlier than maybe their ranking, but to the Packers, taking the 40th overall player, not a surprise. That's where they had him ranked, was about 40. So a little bit of a reach. So we'll see. But I believe the commissioner with the Kansas City Chiefs pick is now coming to the podium. And yes, he's bringing the entourage with him. So we're going to hear what the commissioner has to say when he gets to the podium about the current NFL champion.
The NFL is proud to support the life-changing wishes that Make-A-Wish grants. One important wish was requested by a young man by the name of Justin Laverne, who was diagnosed with renal failure at age 15 and received a kidney transplant from his father just last year. Justin's love for football and the Chiefs got him through those treatments. Please welcome Justin to the stage, whose wish is to announce the first-round draft pick for his beloved Kansas City Chiefs. I'd like all of you to join me in cheering on Justin as his wish comes true. The floor is yours, Justin. Go get him, baby.
The Buffalo Bills have traded the 28th pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. With the 28th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the back-to-back Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs select Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy, the wide receiver out of Texas. They get Patrick Mahomes a little more help. And that was a pick. Now think about this for a minute, okay? When you think about Kansas City, they took Xavier Worthy. The Buffalo Bills lost Stephon Diggs. They needed a wide receiver. They trade with Kansas City to then jump up and get Xavier Worthy because they knew the Cowboys probably would take him because they've got some issues down there in Big D. And if they don't end up taking an offensive lineman, and the offensive linemen are starting to fly off the board, so they're not going to have that. That's what they needed. So they might have taken, because CeeDee Lamb wants out, he wants to get paid. So I'm stunned. Grant, does this make sense to you? By the way, the Cowboys Jerry just threw brisket at the phone, and the phone got knocked off the hook, and the Cowboys pick is in. But does this make sense for the Bills to trade out when they lose Stephon Diggs? They don't have that wide receiver to really help Josh Allen. and they trade away the pick and give a first-round pick of a wide receiver to the Chiefs.
I'm glad you asked me because I was going to interrupt and find a way to point this out. Like when I first saw that the trade was happening before we knew the player, I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing this again. Because the last time the Bills traded with the Chiefs, they gave him Patrick Mahomes. That was the last time the Bills traded a pick to Kansas City. So this on its face to me was a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. But then they give, like you said, the position that the Chiefs need, but the Bills probably need that position even more.
Right.
And they just handed it to their conference rival. It's very bold. Like the Bills have to feel very good about their player evaluations to hand that player to their rival.
I guess. I guess, but damn. Now, I guess if you're sitting there and you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, what is my value board? So maybe if Xavier Worthy is rated at 38, 39, 40, you're like, he's not a first-round guy. That's not the guy. Okay, you back out of that because you still have the Xavier Leggett from South Carolina. He's sitting there. Adonai Mitchell out of Texas. He's sitting there. Okay, so maybe you're like, go ahead. Ladd McConkey, I forgot about him, out of Georgia. He's sitting there. So I get it because there's still some wide receivers there. So they're still going to get value. But you just traded with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs just took the fastest guy in the damn draft. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason the Buffalo Bills just never get to the Super Bowl.
4-2-1-40.
Right?
You know, Josh Allen, huge arm. Feels like that might be a nice fit.
Yeah.
They must have just not liked the player, which is fine. But, like, man, this is going to be extra bad for you if turns out to be a stud and you handed him to your rival.
4-2-1-40. That cat can turn off the lights and be in bed sleeping before the lights are actually out. That's how fast he is. Amazing. Here we go. Brisket Boys made the choice.
In the 2024 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Guyton, tackle Oklahoma.
There you go. We nailed that. We said they got to go with an offensive tackle. They got to bolster that offensive line. Again, the only one we really missed badly was the Green Bay Packers here in our own backyard. Everything else, all over it tonight. Tyler Guyton, big 6'8" cat that he stands next to skyscrapers and still puts them in his shadow. He's that kind of a guy. So let's do this. While we've got right now, the Cowboys pick is in. Tyler Guyton was just chosen, and we're still wrapping up the first round of the NFL Draft. The Baltimore Ravens are currently on the clock. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Couple of breaks to go before we get out of here, so we got a lot of good stuff. Don't go anywhere. You got more. The Bill Michaels Show, a special edition covering the 2024 NFL Draft coming up after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It is our coverage of the entire first round of this year's 2024 NFL Draft. We continue on. Thanks for hanging there with us tonight. Everybody on the line. It's great to have everybody. This might be the biggest crowd ever we've had. I think we had at the end of the season when, actually, I take that back. We had thousands watching and on the line when the Packers beat the Cowboys in the postseason this year. But this might be the second largest crowd witnessing the program tonight ever. So thanks to everybody for paying attention to us and all the kind words. And we're glad to be here. Still a little bit stunned by who the Packers took. And in case you're just tuning us in and you're just waking up this morning and you're wondering, wait a minute, what? They took Jordan Morgan, 6'5", 311 pounds. He was a tackle his entire career at Arizona. He's very versatile. They believe that he can move in and kind of translate to a guard in the National Football League. But a guy that was not on a lot of radars, and he gets chosen. He goes to the Packers. Now, Nate Wiggins, just with the cornerback, just went from Clemson, just went to the Baltimore Ravens. Tyler Guyton, the guy who I really, really hope they were going to get, the big tackle out of Oklahoma, he went to the Cowboys. And Xavier Worthy, the wide receiver out of Texas, in a trade with the Buffalo Bills. The Kansas City Chiefs jump up and get Xavier Worthy when the Bills, who lost Stephon Diggs, need wide receiver help. So they clearly have somebody else that they value or covet at this point. San Francisco is on the clock. And San Francisco, they got some needs, obviously. But San Francisco right now, They're waiting to make their pick with about just a little over 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They need corner. They need some offensive line help as well. Another wide receiver they could use. So that would be beneficial to them. And maybe linebacker. Now, remember, they lost the depth up front with Armstead as well. So who knows? Maybe they decided to go in that direction. But they added key pieces to the defensive front via free agency. Remember, they got Leonard Floyd, Gross Matos, Jordan Elliott. So they're deep enough kind of up front. And they traded for Malik Collins. These moves should allow them then to focus on improving the cornerback and the linebacker groups in the draft. Brock Purdy, he could use some more help on the offensive line as well. So that might not be a bad way to go. And maybe an additional ball carrier or a wide receiver. But right now, the 49ers, with 1:45 to go, are on the clock. And knowing they need wide receiver help, maybe the Bills are going, holy crap. The 49ers, the pick is in. And now we'll wait for the networks to come back from their national commercial break before the commissioner makes the announcement. But man, holy mackerel! So
if the Niners get Cooper DeJean, I will be very sad.
Right? So now let's just go to the draft board, okay? In my notes, what I did was I took 3 or 4 plus our lads, and I kind of put it together, and I said, okay, here's my top 40. What's left on my top 40? The number one player that's still left is Cooper DeJean, the corner out of Iowa, the corner/safety, very versatile. Then you've got the kid Newton, the big defensive tackle, who is out of Illinois. He's still there. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner. But then when you go to wide receiver, you got 4 to choose from, and I got to think that's the direction that maybe Buffalo will go, whether it's Xavier Legette out of South Carolina, Donnie Mitchell out of Texas, Lad McConkey out of Georgia, or Ricky, Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver out of Florida. And don't forget, you still have Keon Coleman, too, by the way, the wide receiver from Florida State. So you got Rakestraw Jr., who is a corner out of Missouri. He's still sitting there. But Cooper DeJean, we all expected him to go in the first round. Right about 25, we figured. Some had him projecting a little bit higher because of his versatility. Some had him projecting right around the 31-30 mark. But he's sitting there. So they consider him best available at this point. Best available. But, man.
I've seen one insider tweet that DeJean is going to the Niners and another that Pearsall is going to the Niners. Michael Silver says Ricky Pearsall. That's the one that I'm going with until I see anything else.
Ricky Pearsall is
Breer just tweeted
Albert
out
Breer,
too,
yeah,
so,
I just saw that.
That's the one.
So now think about this, okay? So Pearsall is going to go, the kid out of Florida, the wide receiver, and he is 6'1", 189 pounds, and his frame, he makes it look easy. Big dude. Here we go. We got to the commissioner. It's going to be coming to the stage any minute now, any second now, actually. So I thought I saw him starting to walk down the tunnel. But his speed makes him a threat. Threat after the catch as a runner. In the return game as well, he can return. So here comes the commissioner now to make the announcement. Here we go.
With the 31st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver, Florida.
There you go, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver out of Florida. So now he's off the board. They take a wide receiver, and they also, that was one of the areas that they needed. So this is what's left for this last pick. Now the Buffalo Bills, who are on the clock, okay? Cooper DeJean, and if you look at what they need, that being the Buffalo Bills, they need a wide receiver, they need defensive line help, and they need some running back help. Stephon Diggs puts the receiver right now needs at the top of the list. He's going to find a power back maybe to go and complement James Cook. Maybe you can find that guy on probably day 2. But they brought back some of the key defenders, Daquan Jones, EJ Epenza up front. They've got some other guys that are there. So they need wide receiver help. You need to do something with Josh Allen. You got to find something for Josh Allen. You got to think Cooper DeJean is going to be there in the second round. How far he falls, I don't know. But you got to think he's going to be there. You've got also the corner Kool-Aid McKinstry still there. Rakestraw, the corner out of Missouri. Now, he was down around 45, 40-ish in the projections that I had kind of put together. So he's definitely not a first-round guy. There's still Keon Coleman out of Florida State with the wide receiver. So Marshawn Neeland, out of the edge rusher out of Western Michigan. But I'm not a fan of guys that are defensive players unless they're corners with speed coming out of the smaller schools. But gosh, boy, it's been interesting tonight. And the two biggest interesting picks was the Packers and what they did, and the Buffalo Bills trading with the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs taking the best wide receiver on the board to pair up with Patrick Mahomes when you desperately needed, since you got rid of Stephon Diggs, help in Buffalo. Two mind-blowing things.
This is not what you said about DeJean maybe slipping to the second round. Who knows? Maybe someone grabs him here at the end. Or no, but I actually, how many picks do we have left now in the first round? Oh, okay. So we are done. So this is not that dissimilar from the year they got Christian Watson, when they had 2 firsts and 2 seconds, as opposed to this year with 2 seconds, 2/3. Maybe Goody looks to jump up at the beginning of the second round, get a player that maybe snuck through the first round and he didn't quite expect it. We could be, I mean, the Packers have 4 picks tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a blast.
Yeah. But yeah, just, man, crazy. I really thought that I really thought that the Brian Gutekunst, I went through his draft choices over the last 2-3 years. He's been really solid. So I can't sit here and go, what the hell are you doing? But I got to admit, he wasn't on my radar. So now we just kind of wait. We've had a trade. The Bills traded back again. The Carolina Panthers have jumped back up into the first round and made it to, you talk about Buffalo. Now you get what Buffalo's doing. They're going to take the buckshot approach. They're just accumulating draft picks. So they get the 2024 second round pick, which is 33, and they get a 5th round pick this year. And the Panthers get the 32nd overall pick, the last pick of the first round, and they get the 6th round pick. So the Bills get the next pick, which will be tomorrow's pick, the very first one tomorrow, and they get another pick. They've moved up from the 6th to the 5th, and they've got numerous picks as well from earlier today when they made the deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. Wild stuff. I know we got to take a break. We're coming up on it. But do we see the commissioner walking down the hall? I think he's getting ready to come down the hall. I want to get this pick in and him closing the draft before we go to break.
We got a couple minutes. We don't have to break yet.
So we can
wait for it.
We got a couple of minutes left. But wow, the Buffalo Bills completely traded out of the first round, picked up a couple of draft choices along the way, and the Buffalo Bills must be looking at this going, the guy we wanted all along is sitting there. He's still on the board. And now we're going to get him for a second round value rather than a first, and we've picked up picks along the way. So how about that? What a night, though. What a good night. Hey, Steven, and I can go through everybody on the list. I mean, everybody's still chiming in over in the live stream. Great job to everybody watching the program tonight. Thank you so much for paying attention to the program and hanging with us. We thank you. Tomorrow on the program, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time is when we're here. And we are going to talk a lot about this tomorrow, and start to project forward to what may or may not happen coming. And we're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst tomorrow. We're also going to hear from the Packers pick tomorrow. So we're also going to hear from Jordan Morgan tomorrow. Here comes the commissioner. So we'll take this last pick. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up, but don't go anywhere. We still got this more to go. Here we go.
The Buffalo Bills have traded the 32nd pick to the Carolina Panthers.
Imagine if you're a Bills fan.
With the 32nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Xavier Legette, wide receiver, South Carolina.
They got their wide receiver. So another wide receiver. They need wide receiver, and they traded both away. Wow. Buffalo really must have somebody sitting there that they.
And over the next 2 days, you can break the all-time NFL draft record. Thank you. See you at 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
There you go. They officially closes out the first round of the NFL draft. We are going to take a break, and we are going to wrap it up. Coming up next, don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. If you stayed, it's worth it. Here's the reason why. We go now live up to Lambeau Field. Mike Clemens standing by, and he has got some comments from the Packers' first-round draft choice. Mike, take it away.
Jordan Morgan, unfortunately, has already had a torn ACL coming out of Arizona. We asked, how'd you get back so quick?
Just had to pretty much put my head down and work. I mean, I attacked it pretty hard in the weight room, in the training room. I did 3 times a day, even just trying to beat the timeline of an ACL injury when they told me that it was going to take so long, and I just didn't want to wait so long. I felt like a liability, so just getting back on the field was the most important thing for me.
22 years old, he would be slated to compete at left tackle. What has his pass protection been like in games like Mississippi State and USC?
So for Mississippi State, I mean, they say that the Pac-12 players aren't really playing enough competition or the bigger talents out in the conferences. So when we played Mississippi State, obviously, I mean, I played up to that level, and I showed everybody that it doesn't matter what conference I'm in, I'm still going to dominate on the field. And against UCLA, I mean, going against one of the best pass rushers in the nation, I mean, a lot to. So you can see me showcase my talents there too.
Although he talked to the Packers a couple of times, he's surprised, he's excited. He got picked by the Packers. And you know what tape he's been watching is David Bakhtiari.
Yeah, I mean, he's great with his feet, his movement. He's a very balanced player. I take that away from him. The way he moves, he's very balanced. And he has a good strike. He has a really good strike in the pass game. Really strong arms, really strong upper body, and he can really lock people up, which is where I get my game from. I like to just lock people up and stalemate. And, I mean, he's just a dog.
There you go. Good stuff, Mike. We're going to have, I guess, the full interview coming up tomorrow, and we'll get you up at Lambeau tomorrow as well, right?
Once again, an offensive lineman will probably be a starter that we never heard of before.
Right?
It's a Green Bay Packers pick, man.
Yeah, there you go. Mike, great stuff all night long. You're going to have the coverage all weekend long as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow up at Lambeau, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it, pal. That's it. Man. So the Green Bay Packers, as we wrap up the first round of the NFL draft, take Jordan Morgan, 6'5", 311 pounds, out of Arizona. He's played tackle pretty much his entire career. In 2022, the end of 2022, he tore his ACL. He worked his ass off to come back, still became first-team selection last season in the Pac-12 as well. And he is your newest Green Bay Packer. Grant, I don't know if we could have done more tonight if we had to.
You know what's wild is as we get later and later, I feel like I have more and more energy because we have more to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? We actually have a player and now the show is done, but luckily we only have to, wait 11 hours now until we start again?
That's just it. Well, we'll be back at it again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Time on many of these same stations, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to have Mike Clemens live up in Green Bay. We'll have more analysis, more breakdown, and we're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst. We're going to hear from Jordan Morgan. We're going to hear from you, obviously, to everybody that watched us, listened to us on the network, on all the different network platforms, whether it was Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, Twitch TV, Kick TV, LinkedIn TV, all of that. Great. Kudos to you, man. Come back again tomorrow. We certainly appreciate it. Time for us